I actually didn't know about that.
Alright, you guys are live.
Alright. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Alright.
Hi.
Hi, peeps.
I guess we should probably say who we are. I'm Juicy.
Yeah, I'm GigaDB.
Game Rob.
And I am base.
So Giga and Juicy are the ones gonna be doing the race. Base and I will be commentating.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever.
Go ahead and do a countdown whenever you're ready.
I guess I'll run my splits, because why not?
I'm running mine. Just to see how I'm doing.
Alright, whenever you're ready.
Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, well, this is Paper Mario All Cards. All Cards basically just means all chapters. You have to beat every single chapter boss and touch the Star Spirit card. However, you don't actually have to do the Peach cutscenes that are connected to those Star Spirit cards. You just have to touch them. You'll see what I mean later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's essentially the all dungeons of this game.
Something to note, for those who don't know, is that text in this game is very nice, because all you have to do is hold B. No mashing.
Yeah, no mashing. You just hold the B button and it scrolls at a constant speed, which is really nice.
It's something only Paper Mario 64 really got right, as far as the rest of the series is concerned, or as far as speed gaming is concerned, I guess. The other Paper Mario games, you have to mash to go through text really quickly.
Yeah.
So.
Text is also the primary reason that we play on the Japanese version. There's not too many huge differences in terms of actual glitches or tricks, but you save a lot of time just from text.
So right now you are seeing the first movement tech in the game, which is spinning, and you're going to basically see Giga and Juicy do this basically through the entire duration of the run. It's faster to just spin than to just walk, but also while they're spinning, they want to jump with a very short jump at the end of every single spin, because if they let the spin animation complete, they'll stop in place for about half a second. So being able to jump out of your spins is really the key form of movement.
Yeah. So they're gonna jump out of their spins and also try to cancel their spins whenever possible by either going up a ledge or falling off one. You could see that on the stairs when they were just continuously spinning.
There's also like you want to be jumping at certain frames within your spin, because you have different speeds at different frames. So you want to be jumping with the maximum speed so that you keep that speed throughout your jump. Rather than waiting until the end, you actually start slowing down in your spin right at the end.
Yeah, you start to slow down.
So if you wait until then to jump, you won't have any momentum and you'll just jump in place.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes though, even if your jump case is not the exact optimal part of the spin, it's better because then your spins are longer, and in some places that cuts out a spin entirely. So
yeah, actually,
a lot of spacing involved too.
With how we do spins right now, the fastest speed frame is actually in the third frame of your spin, but jumping that often is way slower than jumping towards the end of your spin.
Yeah.
And right now, actually, we're doing another little, very small tech called quick jumping. So in Prologue, we can mash to do it because we don't have action commands, and so we can't actually hit any or mess up any action commands by mashing A. So when we mash A, when you see when Mario leaps off the ground, there's a very, very, very short animation when you're mashing A. That's because it's cut short when you press A right now. Juicy and I will also do this when we do have action commands too, but you have to time it. We do that on most jump attacks. You can't do it on any other attack.
I believe it
saves frames every time.
It saves 10 frames per jump, so over the run it actually does add up to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least 10 seconds. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a surprising amount.
Oh no, we died.
So after this intense battle, they were unable to prevail.
Fun fact, that fight is actually so scripted that if you were to cheat and make it possible to kill him in that fight, the game would just soft lock and you wouldn't be able to advance further.
It's pretty fun. Unfortunately, the first 20 minutes of the game, Prologue, is really not very exciting. It's pretty much
Yeah,
just
it's
tutorials,
slow,
text, and very simple movement until right at the end where we do the first glitch of the run. And from there on, it's pretty fast-paced.
Yeah. Especially at this part of Prologue, where it's just like a very long cutscene also.
Yeah.
This is
It's just like
definitely the longest.
text.
Yeah, it's super optimized too, so don't be surprised if Giga and Juicy are within 1 or 2 seconds of each other, like for the entire duration of the first 20 minutes or so.
Yeah. Like the difference between a good time and a bad time in Prologue is like 4 seconds. Or
Yeah,
that's like
really.
that's like the max range that it could be, pretty much.
Yeah. But even though that happened, the trick of at the end of the Prologue can change that
Yeah.
very easily, and also there's RNG involved in that. So
It's basically very consistent right up until the end of Prologue, and then there's
your time can vary. a lot.
RNG and hard trick.
Yeah. So we'll get to that later. 'Cause 15 minutes from now. So I guess we can talk a little bit about, I guess, all cards history a little bit, since we have the time.
I guess so. Well, obviously,
so-
all cards
yeah.
started off as just being normal any percent, because before there were any glitches that were found, actual skip chapters, mainly Blue House Skip, you had to get all the cards anyways. After Blue House Skip was found, people were like, wow, Blue House Skip is really hard, and also we kind of missed doing the other chapters anyways, so all cards was created. I think it was Pie's idea, actually. I'm not really sure. I wasn't actually playing the game at that
I'm
point.
not sure exactly.
But yeah, that's when all cards was created.
Yeah.
And since then, with all the incredibly versatile different ways of being able to route it, it makes it a lot more interesting of a run, because we do the chapters in a really odd order, which
Yeah.
makes them a lot faster.
Up until like a year ago, all cards like had a route that wasn't like too different from like the natural chapter order. Like we used to do like just 5 before 4, and that was it. Chapter 5 before 4. But now we do it in like a way different order, because of a major route change in Trick that was found. So, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Almost a full year since
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's
change.
pretty much been a year. So.
It's been a pretty, how should I put it, like slow but progressive evolution.
Yeah, this game has
Like,
gotten
Yeah,
to
that
the
was the
point
last-
to get to all the tricks.
we just all talked
That was the
over each
last
other.
big thing that's been found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, the game, it's gotten really optimized in terms of glitches, and there's really just not a whole lot left to be found for all cards. Like, there's not really a lot of things that would really make this category much faster than it is right now.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing
Like
that
a
would
few,
really
like,
do much...
scary things.
The only thing that would really do much would be, like, being able to wrong warp to different chapters, or
Yeah.
being able to, like, access certain things in certain chapters without certain partners or upgrades.
Yeah. Like,
Essentially for the past... oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's not really much like, there's only like a few things like in that are like maybe even slightly in the realm of possibility with what we know now. Like, we'd have to have something like pretty crazy for this to be broken much further.
Yeah.
More tricks and whatnot.
There is not a category that runs on English. Japanese version is the fastest for
Yeah, this
everything.
route isn't actually possible, at
No,
least
it
to our
is.
current knowledge.
It is.
No.
Actually,
We-
it was
we
found
figured it out.
somewhat recently.
Yeah, we
We
figured
figured
it out.
out the reason why it didn't
It's
work on English.
just on English, you
Alright,
have to
it's
plant the
fixed.
chapter 5 seed last. For whatever reason,
Yeah.
they made that a thing on English, whereas it isn't on Japanese. You can plant the seeds in any order to enter chapter 6. But on English,
Yeah.
with the route that we do, you have to plant the chapter 5 seed last, or else the door just doesn't appear to flower fields. We don't know why. It's just a weird English thing.
So you can actually do this in English, but English is slower because, as you said earlier, text, and there are a couple of Japanese only tricks, but
Yeah.
very few.
Also, for anyone wondering, Juicy is the current world record holder with 258.52, right?
Yep.
And I'm less than a minute behind at like 259.28.
Yep.
Yeah. Top 2 times.
So what Malio is talking about in chat is there is a trick called Junior Trooper Skip, which actually lets you skip that fight that Juicy and Giga just did. Although there are a variety of reasons that we don't use it. We don't use it in any of the RTA categories at all, but especially not all cards.
It's
At
less
any
of...
percent, there was a route. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
At any percent, there is a route that uses Junior Trooper Skip that is slightly faster, but because of how ridiculous it is, it would just make it like the run really like much harder and a lot more resets early game, and we already reset early game. You see that? And in all cards, it might even be even worse because it messes with when you get into peril. So
Yeah, it messes with the
That is
EXP
very
route,
good.
which is the real problem with it. The 20
Yeah,
experience
getting less
that you don't
experience.
get from that Junior Trooper fight actually makes a very big difference in the
Yeah,
later part of the
messes things
run.
up quite a bit.
Whoops.
They successfully avoided the first tutorial.
Victory.
Whoa.
That first tutorial, it's honestly not that big of a deal. I mean, most of us would reset if we said yes to that, but in terms of time lost, that particular tutorial isn't that bad. There are a couple of other tutorials in the game that cost a considerably larger amount of time that we also have to skip. But
Yeah.
thankfully, skipping tutorials in this game is really straightforward. You pretty much just mash B. I mean, if
Yeah,
you
you
ever
should never
miss
do
a
that.
tutorial skip, it's pretty much just because you weren't holding or mashing B, pretty much.
Right here, they're gonna
Here we have
split the
this-
damage they deal these Goombos, so that they kill them at the same time. That way, the death animations both play at the same time, and they don't have to watch it twice.
There's
You also
also
get
a
text if you
text
only
option,
kill
yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, we're trying to use quick jumps in that fight too. You can do it with power jumps. You can do it with any jumping attack it works with, but nothing else in the game.
You can't do it with head bombs,
Something.
strangely enough.
I do it with Game Warrior's head bomb. Can't do it with hammers or anything. From Mario. So coming up very shortly, we have the Goomba King fight. It has a interesting mechanic that some people may not have realized when they play this game casually.
Yeah, it actually
But
amazes
there
me
actually
how
is a
many
tree in the
people
background.
say that they didn't know you could head bonk that tree. You'll see.
Yeah, you can attack the tree in the background, and it makes this fight way faster and easier.
Yeah.
It is the
But
only
we don't
fight
wanna
like
waste
that
the
in the
power jump
game
on
where
that.
you can use the background to your advantage. Unfortunately, because it's a pretty cool mechanic.
There's a slight difference in the way that Goomba King attacks you. He has two different attacks he can use, and they both got the one that is half a second faster. So,
Nice, dude.
Oh man.
We've done it.
Yeah. His other attack's like a kick, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, half second slower, just about.
So now we get more cutscenes. Quite a lot of cutscenes coming up.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing that happens for the next 5 minutes.
Well, we get to Toad Town in a couple minutes, but
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
it's just
Toad Town.
Yeah. So I guess I could talk about like some version differences because I got reminded in here. So the fastest version of this game is actually on Wii U VC, the Japanese version of that. And if you'll notice while we're playing, there in some places this, like the VC version we're on the Wii right now, Wii VC version, it lags a lot more than N64. But we have faster load times, so in all cards it's a bit faster to play on VC even with all the lag that we get. But on Japanese Wii U VC, which isn't really easy to get, not really that available unless you want to spend lots of money.
If you want to donate me $400, I will buy
Yeah.
Japanese Wii U.
Or unless
Yeah,
you're
I'll
a
buy it.
Japanese runner and you happen to have one.
Unless you're a Japanese one.
Yeah.
The Wii U version kind of has the best of both worlds. So it's like it has the fast loads and no lag, and actually it even doesn't lag in some places that N64 still lags on. So like as you notice when we pass through like the castle, the King's Castle, it lags there. It also lags on N64 there too, but it doesn't lag on the UVC. So, and I played around the English version, but for Wii U to be faster, it because of the text and some tricks, but the tricks aren't a major part of it.
It's sort of a counterintuitive thing with Wii Virtual Console. People get surprised, like, oh, why is the Wii Virtual Console laggier type of thing. You'd expect it, given that it is the newer version of the game and it's on the faster or it's on faster hardware. You'd think that there'd be less lag.
It's just a bad port of the game is all it is.
Yeah.
They just did a bad job porting it to the Wii.
So just a slight thing, in the movement on some of these screens, you'll note, especially in that first screen in Toad Town, they use spin cancels on stairs to their advantage, so it's actually faster to move in that way than just moving over the shortest possible distance, because you cancel your spins faster.
Yeah, and as you saw, also, like, you can see that perfectly exemplified on Shooting Star Summit, where we pretty much cancel, like, 90% of our spins with the stairs there, so it saves frames every time you do that instead of a jump.
Yeah, you always want to try and make sure that you're moving in a way that'll let you cancel as many of your spins as possible.
You can also cancel your spins off of any wall, but you need a very precise angle for you to maintain your speed, and like the wall has to like not be out of the way for you to save any frames with it, and so pretty much no one goes for it. WoWer, any percent of record holder likes to go for those, but most of the time when he ends up going for them, it doesn't look that much faster, so like no one really does it. I've done it on accident
Generally,
before sometimes.
Not really worth an RTA.
It's pretty much a task-only thing.
Yeah. If you watch the tasks of any percent of this game, which is on Task Malio's YouTube channel, there's actually very few times where you actually jump out of spins. You spin cancel the majority of the time.
Yeah, and I highly recommend, if you haven't seen that task, please watch it, because it is a pretty entertaining task. At least past
Yeah.
Prologue.
Lots
Yeah.
of cool stuff in it.
Prologue is still the same.
Well,
Prologue
Junior
is
Troop-
basically-
there is
it has
Junior
spin
Troop-
cancels. It does have
Yeah, it does have
Junior
Junior
Troop
Skip.
so
It's true.
so you can
And a
watch that.
slightly different setup for the next trick that you're about to do as well.
Well, it's relatively the same. Oh, so basically, also we could have left Prologue immediately when we got to Toad Town by doing the glitch we're going to do after we get back there. But we need to go to Shooting Star Summit to get action commands. If you started the game out of action commands, it would save like 4 minutes or something.
Yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It'll be real fast.
Yeah.
But
'Cause,
instead,
yeah, you
have
get
to
action
go
commands
here.
when Twink gives you the pendant.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you would skip the entire.
Action commands are pretty important.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So, for the record, for this particular fight, it is actually faster to block the Magic Koopa's attacks. There are several fights in the game where whether you decide to block or not makes a very slight difference.
Alright, I think
This
we
fight,
should.
it's
I
actually
think
faster to block.
we should start explaining the trick because it's gonna look pretty fast.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's
There's
gonna
a
be
lot.
Speedy.
Alright, so
Well, it could be Speedy.
It could be
depending
Speedy.
on how Toad is.
Yeah, we need Toad to basically stop at the right wall. There's a Toad that moves back and forth in Toad Town. We need him to stop at the right wall to execute the trick. And also we'll be taking advantage of the out of bounds mechanic in this game, which is really, really weird. So I think I'll let Base and Game Rob do that now as we get to do it.
Alright. Yeah. I'll try to explain it as simply as possible. Basically, out of bounds works as soon as you'll start falling, and then after a certain amount of time, the game will bring you back up to ground level. If you're below an area that's walkable, it'll bring you to that spot. But if you're not, then it'll bring you back to your last position.
So what you're seeing them trying to do is they're trying to spin himself in between the Toad right as he gets to the wall, and by hitting the hammer within a certain timing window, that'll actually basically get him like right sort of at the boundary between where the grass is and the walkway, so that will let him fall out of bounds. And that basically gives him the chance to do all that cool stuff that lets him get around the Toads that are blocking the way to Pleasant Path.
I actually got the best
Unfortunately,
RNG
you
possible.
get in trouble.
I had the best RNG possible, but I missed the clip, and so when you I generally like to say that Toad, he knows when when you mess up when you get perked RNG, and then he trolled me a little bit after that because he didn't let me clip. He punishes you. You mess up when you get perked RNG, and then he trolled me a little bit after that.
He punishes you.
He does.
He punishes you if you miss it.
Alright, so coming up here, I'm going to be going to the shop to buy items. Giga and I are actually going to be doing a very slightly different Chapter 1 route, where he buys less items than me, and does some different strats for some fights. His route saves about 6 or 7 seconds over the one I'm doing, but it's very minor. I just haven't learned it, because I don't really think it's that necessary. I haven't been consistently playing this game recently.
I accidentally bought 2 power blocks.
Oh, nice.
Oh, guess you're doing an older
Alright,
route.
so... No, I can still do the new route. I just have to get
No.
firework coins.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't really have time to explain this since, as we said, that trick that they just did went by really fast. But basically, that trick they just did, which we call Black Toad Skip, saves approximately a minute over glitchless. And historically, there's been 2 other methods to get out of Prologue faster than in glitchless, and one of them, which was another variant of Black Toad Skip, you'd actually, instead of using the Toad by the post office to clip out of bounds, you'd use the shopkeeper at the bad shop, just like you do with Log Skip if you are familiar with any percent at all. But you'd use that guy, and you'd have to go around the seam on the bottom right, and that was a very, very precise trick in terms of what controller angle you'd be able to use. So a lot of people, it's like there's no RNG like there is with the current version of Black Toad Skip, but your controller angles, which vary every time you turn the console on and off, like that made the trick very difficult to nail consistently if you had a bad controller. So a lot of us are very grateful that we don't have to do that trick anymore.
Yeah. Vast majority of the time, regardless of RNG, the newer method will be faster. Occasionally you'll get really unlucky, but
Oh, well.
for the most
Luckily, I
part,
didn't pull a Giga and failed a fuzzy game. The fuzzy game is RNG also. Like, how many times they like bounce between the trees and what trees they end up in is RNG. It's very stuck RNG. Like, but it can make a decent difference. It's like anywhere between 0 and 5 seconds lost.
yeah, I'd say somewhere around 5 seconds, probably the max.
5 seconds would be like worst possible.
Yeah.
That'd
Yeah,
be
I mean, it's
getting
happened
RNG that bad is really, really, really hard to do.
It's
Yeah.
happened. I've seen it. It's happened.
Of course, it goes without saying that failing that minigame is extremely bad, because if you do, there's about, if I remember right, a 90% chance that a fuzzy will fall from the tree, and you'll have to fight one of them, and
Yeah.
that takes a very long time, and of course, you have to deal with messing up experience too, potentially.
Yeah, you can't run away from
Yeah,
that.
see, that's totally why I bought the extra power block. No,
Just in case that happened.
Just like out that puzzle. Yeah. Who makes mistakes? Not me.
If you are lucky, then you might just get a coin, but even then, it's still about 10 seconds lost when that happens. So it's never fun, but it's a lot better than losing the run, I will say.
Yeah.
So another note, you just saw Juicy get the Thunderbolt on his stream, so it should be noted that the enemy spawns in this game are random to within a certain radius. So, for example, that spiked Goomba near the Thunderbolt, sometimes he will spawn literally right next to the Thunderbolts, and you'll have a much more difficult time avoiding him depending on how you cancel your spin.
Yeah. Almost always
Oh.
you can use the same movement and it'll work fine, but occasionally you have to react to weird placements.
Yeah, generally,
There's a very-
all of our movement is designed to work no matter what happens, basically. But like sometimes there is a like very very small chance that an enemy has like the worst position possible, and like it seems that it's like almost kind of like an RNG encounter. I mean, technically you can always avoid them. Actually, there's a spot in Chapter 8 where you have to be very wary of where your enemies spawn because
There's also a spot in Chapter 6 that is just a complete RNG encounter, whether you get into it or not. There's nothing you can do about
And
it.
we can mention them as we go. There's a couple, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think we covered most of them just now.
Man, chat's just always dead for Paper Mario.
That's
For
true.
whatever reason.
Just a
Pretty
way-
much. Alright,
Picking up power
So
bounce
the-
here. Gonna be using that quite a bit.
very important badge, of course. It's kind of like
So,
super jumps in
staircase
SMRPG.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Wanna explain
So,
staircase yet?
oh, sure. It's a bit hard to explain, but basically what Juicy just did is he got to the very top of the stairs, and instead of fighting that Koopa at the bottom, which is normally what you need to do, because by fighting him, he will drop a switch that lowers the staircase to the basement, you can kind of wedge yourself in between the staircase and the railing there, and jump basically through, and go kind of out of bounds to get to the bottom.
Yeah. There's actually just no collision at that point in the staircase, so you can just jump directly through it.
The skip works on English, yes.
Yeah.
And Juicy and I are doing different routes, as we said.
Yeah.
I get Bombette first. So,
Yeah, without that trick, it's
Which-
not possible for the route Gig is doing where he gets combat early, by the way.
Yeah,
Also-
Juicy just
and also-
did.
But also,
Um,
most of my time gain is going to be canceled out by the fact that I have to get the second fire bar. So,
Yeah, because you bought an extra power block.
Yeah. It's a
So,
bit
in
unfortunate.
the pit there, Juicy
it's
used.
okay. I'll save
Freight Jar.
friends in Chapter 8 on the Koopa trolls. It's all good.
Freight Jar is one of the bigger RNG elements in the early game. I believe it's an 80% chance to work, right?
Yeah.
On both.
On both, yeah.
And if it fails, you lose like close to 20 seconds. So it shouldn't fail most of the time, but it sucks when it does.
It sucks even more so with the route that Giga is using, unfortunately, because you have some constraints on your FP.
Yeah.
If it,
That could be.
yeah, so, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, so also, the RNG of Freighter is more or less, it's a 10% chance that it fails on any particular paratroopa. So that means there's a 1% chance that it fails in both, and when that happens, we basically reset. It's
I'm
really
pretty sure like
unfortunate.
everyone in here got to something too at least once. But, you know.
Yeah.
It's a sad day when that happens. If
It's a sad
anybody
day when it happens
remembers,
to you.
if anybody remembers Pi's SGDQ 2013 run that happened to him,
Oh god.
which was
Yeah,
very
like
funny.
the worst fighter.
That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. We used to actually use fright jars in all the fights, but now we only use a fright jar for that particular
Use the
fight to
padlock
cut
here.
down on RNG.
Those were the dark days of Paper Mario, man. Using fright jars on like every fight in Chapter 1.
Save some FP. In case I'm using it. See, the strats that I have. This power block was totally intentional.
So worth it.
Mm-hmm. Alright, fright jar worked for me as well.
Nice.
Alright, good stuff there for RNG.
I can't wait for a 7th try Speedy spin, dude.
Yep. And with the strats that I use, I have to first strike the Koopa. He actually gave me good RNG for once, which is just not likely. At least not for me.
Yeah, coming up with a consistent setup for first striking that Koopa with Bombette was something that was kind of a bit of a challenge for us. In terms of that was a major thing that we wanted to be able to do in order to really save time with the routing change that Giga is doing. And thankfully we were able to come up with ways to do it.
Yeah, to really
So
make it
it's-
worth it, you want to first strike with Bombette there, which we weren't doing when we first came up with it.
So yeah, this is where Giga would have saved time if he didn't buy the extra power block. He wouldn't have had to jump over this first fire bar right here. And well, he didn't get all the coins, but still.
Yeah, I didn't need to. I needed like
Yeah, you
5 coins.
You only need half of them.
I got like 7, so I have 2 extra.
By the way, it's quite rare, and generally we cap it up as being really the runner's fault when that sort of thing happens, but the spread on the coins in each of the fire bars is random, and sometimes the coins will be very spread out and it'll be more difficult to collect them all. So what you saw Giga do with that last fire bar just now is instead of waiting for the coins to drop, he went straight left to the key during the animation that the fire bar is breaking apart. So it does give you a little bit less time to gather all the coins. So if you're not...
I just did a small time saver right there where I swapped partners during the key unlocking animation. Also, we have Pie Jump coming up, but I think Juicy already did.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got him.
Juicy just did it.
Wasn't saying anything because
So...
pie jumps are really easy to fail, and I was actually really nervous about it.
Alright, I just got both of them pretty fast
Alright,
as well,
yeah,
actually.
nice.
So
yeah.
you can stand like on the very edge of that part, and you can jump around the platform or jump around the wall to the other side. It's not really like too precise, but it's really scary to fail because you lose a lot of time if you fail that. So.
If you miss that second one, it's almost a minute, especially because when you fail that second one, that Koopa is camping right below you, so there's a very high chance to just jump on him as soon as you fall down.
God, Giga, you...
Obviously, you have to go back one further. Well,
I just watched you do the first pie jump, you nearly just jumped off the edge. Hot dang.
Yeah.
he did the
I did that for
fast,
runs,
risky
but I was like,
method,
yeah, I did the fast strat for it. I'm like, what am I doing? This is a marathon, but it worked out. So yeah.
Don't scare me like
By
that
the way, we
anymore.
haven't mentioned this, but we do not consider pie jump to be a glitch. So in glitchless runs, you do use pie jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not. It's not any out of bounds.
Yeah, you're just
jump around
jumping
it.
around a
Jump
wall.
around the wall.
That's it.
Like, there's another trick that we use similar to pie jump later in the run that we do consider a glitch, albeit for a very different reason.
Different
but we'll
reasons.
get to that.
Shoutouts to when Juicy held record with failed pie jump.
Dang, dude, those were the days.
30102.
30102.
Alright, so on Juicy screen just now, so the interval at which those bullet bills get fired is RNG to a certain point. So the ideal thing that happens is you want to be able to place Bombette down as soon as you get to the right side of the screen. But sometimes it'll be quite a while since that cannon fired, so you'd be taking a pretty big risk if you decide to lay Bombette down immediately when getting there. And getting an encounter here is extremely bad, of course, because you lose coins potentially, and you have to dodge bullet bills being fired at you all over the place while trying to pick up the coins.
Yeah, for almost all
Yeah,
of the
so-
game, encounters are just a time loss. It's not too big of a deal. But in Prologue and Chapter 1, you need the coins after the chapter, so you have to get them back, which can waste a lot more time.
Chapter 1 was not the best, but, you know, it'll suffice. Luckily, we both got past the canyons pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing
bad,
detrimental
but,
happened
you
in
know.
Chapter 1, which is good, because
Which is
it's
very nice.
it's really easy to just do
Good
something
start.
really stupid in Chapter 1 and just lose a ton of time.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the most nervous for just Chapter 1 in races or marathons and whatnot.
Yeah, generally
so-
your goal is to get out of Chapter 1.
So we're going to go for, which I'm sure Juicy's already doing, but the Koopa Brothers strat is pretty nice because, like, I'd say like as a like first boss, like chapter boss, it's like decently challenging for if you haven't played the game like casually. But we make really quick work of them because they have a huge weakness to power blocks and other items. So
Yeah. Generally,
they
in the
only
beginning
have-
of the
they only have
game,
5
we're really
HP,
weak.
so-
So this is basically the only part of the game where we actually use items to kill enemies. We'll use items on Final Bowser as well, with the triple dip badge, which allows us to do a lot of damage in one turn using shooting stars and thunderbolts. But from here until basically Final Bowser, there will be very few item uses for the rest of the run.
It's-
At least
it's
attacking
pretty
items.
nice.
Only a couple.
I think it's pretty
Yeah.
nice, like especially because like these early game bosses in particular, there's really almost no RNG whatsoever. Like stuff like Goomba King, the only RNG was what attack he does. In this fight, there's no RNG at all. So that's going to change very soon once we start using power bounce on the bosses. But for now, it is unnecessary.
So yeah, we're basically pretty much done with like the introduction of the game now. This is where cool stuff starts
Yeah.
to happen. With the first like really,
Yeah.
really big trick coming up in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, I like to say like when I get on the train, it's like, oh, this run's really starting now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, chapter 1, I kind of like chapter 1's pretty fun to run. It's just kind of scary and you can get stuck there a lot. But,
Chapter 1's fine as long as you're not stuck there for like 20 runs in a row.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's things like Fuzzy's Fright Jar, and then losing coins. There's cannons. And of course there's pie jump. There's just a bunch of
High
things that can
jumps,
go
there's
wrong.
just so much that can go so wrong and cause a reset.
Yeah. But yeah, after this point, pretty much once you get Parakarry, that's when the game really opens up in terms of routing.
Mhm.
We could basically go wherever we wanted.
Yeah.
And we
I
basically
think of
do.
it like the beginning is like strict, and the end is kind of strict with like sequence breaks. Like you can't really
Yeah.
do much. The beginning and the end.
But
The
everything
middle
in
is, like, a
between, we can
free-for-all.
just do whatever we want. In whatever order. I guess it wouldn't hurt to say the chapter order. So the chapter order we actually do is Prologue, Chapter 1, Chapter 3, Chapter 5, Chapter 4, Chapter 2, Chapter 6, 7, 8. That is the order of the chapters that we do in the run.
So yeah. So as I said, like obviously the middle is like completely out of order, but 6, 7, and 8 like they have to be.
Yeah,
completely
you
out of order,
need,
and almost
you
just
have
follow
to do
one first.
7 after 6, and you have to do 7 before 8. There's no way to go around that.
And also in addition to that, we also make a brief detour chapter 5 before doing 3, so it's even like, a little bit more crazier than
Hmm.
so. Just like this trick right here saves a lot of time tutorial skipping.
Yeah, man.
Press B
It's a
twice,
hard trick.
skip to the tutorial. It actually, yeah, it's a very hard trick. Actually,
Basically the hard
this tutorial is the longest one in the game.
Yeah, it's like
it
a
takes
few
minute and a
minutes.
half around.
Like 2 minutes around there, minute and a half, something like that.
I mean, it's between a minute and a half and 2 minutes. I don't know the exact time. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, a lot of people when they're first watching an All Cars run are a little confused when they see our splits are Chapter 1 and then Sushi as the next one. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got homeboy Parakarry, then Sushi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
he has Parakarry first, but then Sushi, and you're like, what?
So this is probably the last boss fight in the game, as I was mentioning earlier. That's basically no RNG at all, incredibly straightforward. So we should be happy for that while we can, I guess.
And Junior, I don't know, Junior Super 2 is pretty hard, right, Base?
Yeah. If you are me, yes, he's hard. These guys are talking about basically in the past when I was actively running the game, I would relatively frequently compared to other people, make menu errors in this fight and lose a lot of time.
Yeah. It's like, you pretty much can't lose this fight, but if you menu incorrectly, you can lose a lot of time.
Alright, so now that I'm done with Junior Troopa, we have a nice piece of RNG coming up, which is Speedy Spin. So
Yeah.
we're going to Ralph's Badge Shop, and after Chapter 1, you can only get 4 badges, and you need to get a certain badge to appear, which is Speedy Spin, which allows you to have longer and faster spins. So there's a 75% chance of this badge appearing, although it really doesn't seem that way, because it feels like more often than not we just don't get it. We were doing a race last night, and Giku got it third try while I got it first, so it's very easy to lose upwards of a minute just from this badge.
Yeah, and then the race before that, Juicy got third try and I got first, so...
Alright.
It's
Each
really
time you miss
just
it,
me.
it loses close to about 25 seconds.
Yeah, I got it first
You
try
have, to,
though.
you have to go two
Between
loading.
25 and
You have to go two loadings. You have to go 2 loading screens away to reset the badge shop. So that's why it costs so much time if it's not there.
And did you get it, Juicy?
I did.
Yeah, just
Juicy
got
got it, yes.
And
So
it's
as you
actually
can
here for
see-
me too.
Oh man!
Thank you. Yeah.
So as you can see, we immediately equip it, and you can see our spins are a lot faster and longer. And this saves
Yeah.
minutes throughout the game compared to just normal spinning.
Very nice to see them both get it, because that can be one of the things early on in a race that just separates runners for a long time.
Yeah, some people have had stories of it taking like 7 tries, so it can't.
I
It's
have-
that
I
would
haven't
be pretty-
highlighted-
Giga is the
Yeah,
only
seventh
person
try.
to have ever gotten it 7th try. I've gone it 6th.
I had someone in my chat come in once claiming to get it in like 10 tries in a glitchless run.
That
I was
is-
skeptical of that.
I have the
That is
highest try
insane.
in a run with video proof.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's not really
Basically
trying
until
to
endgame.
run because like it's not trying to run because if it took you more than 3 tries most of the time you'd probably reset anyway, but
Yeah.
at that point you just go in and check like, let's see how long it's going to take me to get it because I want to see if I can brag as having the worst speed spin RNG, so you go and you keep trying it.
So yeah, that's like
Yeah.
the last piece of RNG that loses more than 20 seconds until like
Yeah.
Chapter 8.
Until like chapter 8.
Until in game, there's
Yeah.
not a significant source of RNG.
Yeah.
There's like a 10-second swing here and there, but
There's nothing that loses more than 20.
Well, there is
Yeah.
power bounce caps if you get 3 caps on certain bosses, but that's
Well.
like it's incredibly rare for that to
Yeah.
happen. So we don't.
it's a
really
little
consider
different.
that.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. We'll talk about power bounces pretty soon because that's about to play major. Like at this point on, power bounces are going to be the biggest source of RNG. Should we talk about that now, or should we wait until Blooper? Do you think?
I don't think it really matters.
We'll be doing it like on the way to Blooper after BHS if you want, but it doesn't really matter because I mean we don't have really much to talk about here.
This is just
Yeah.
simple movement.
Yeah.
Go
We're
get
just trying to
Parakarry.
get the letters. Get Parakarry, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I know MK's getting hyped right now.
The only reason we come here is
Yeah,
just
Parakarry.
to get Parakarry and get the seed, and then we leave.
Yeah. This is probably the first point where the current all cards route really diverges from, I guess, even the old all cards route or the normal chapter order. You get Parakarry and then you leave, whereas in the past you would actually go further into Mount Rugged once you got Parakarry. But we're able to skip part of that now.
Yeah, we won't be going to chapter 2 quite yet.
Yeah. And just a little side note, Speedy Spin makes movement here so much better because like even though speed spin doesn't actually increase like distance by that like much, and the speed is like it's still minor, even though it does save a lot of time. But like, especially in Mount Rugged, there are a lot of places where without speedy spin, you just like you don't even come close to making it. And there's a lot of like awkward like short spins everywhere. But here it's usually a lot more smooth. And in any percent, you would have to do Mount Rugged without speedy spin. So it's a shame.
Yeah, you complete less of Chapter 1 in any percent, so you have to get more coins somewhere else, and that's why you get Speedy Spin later. Oh, well, that's one reason I get Speedy Spin later.
That is true, NK. We also come here and get some Wacka-Bumps.
Yep,
Yeah.
they're on the way.
Wait, what? I just had a massive brain fart. That's a good way to lose like 10
Kind of a little
seconds.
turned around.
But yeah, anyway, what I was doing, Wacka-Bumps. Wacka-Bumps, I'm not sure if don't remember if we explained this yet, but Wacka-Bumps are probably the strongest healing item you can get in the game easily, especially this early on. All you have to do is just whack. Literally that, whatever you call mole, called Wacka, and it heals 25 HP and FP, so for the purposes of a speedrun, that's basically a complete heal.
Yeah, basically the only better healing item is Jelly Ultra, which is
way
really
harder to
really hard to get
Uh,
and far rarer.
I love when you press C down and it registers to the left.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be using the Whack-A-Bumps until Chapter 6.
Yep.
Alright, so now Juicy is on his way back to Toad Town now. He hit that heart block, first of all. He's going to need the HP and FP for a boss fight coming up. And that boss is actually Blooper in the sewers, because, spoilers, he is about to do one of the biggest sequence breaks in the entire game.
It actually is the
One
biggest
that
sequence break
allows
in the
us-
entire game,
it has-
basically.
It actually is.
And any
Well,
percent it
it's
allows
what-
you to
it's
skip
the-
Chapter 2, 3, and 4.
In all cards, it lets us do all the chapters out of order as well.
Which saves a lot of time in the end, but not as much as it does in any percent. It saves like closer to an hour in any percent, which is really ridiculous.
Alright, so this trick is also frame perfect, so I'm gonna be a bit quiet here and let them focus a bit.
It was okay. Generally in runs you want less than 5 tries for BHS, but failing BHS really doesn't lose a lot of time in and of itself. It's pretty acceptable to get like
Yeah.
6 or 7 try.
It is a hard trick, but you can set up again so quickly that unless it's really, really bad, you're not going to lose that much time from it.
It's kind of a weird trick to explain how it works, but the idea is you're explaining the fact that hitboxes in this game are really
Yeah,
broken,
there are
and
some
those
boxes
crates
on that
inside the
corner
box-
by where I'm jumping. Actually, explain it because I'm going to do power bounces.
Okay, so yeah, the crates inside the
first
box.
try.
Nice.
Really nice.
So yeah, those crates inside the blue house, like, even though it doesn't look like you can't actually visibly see it, but parts of the hitboxes of the actual crates inside the blue house are sticking out. And you can use those to give yourself an extra boost to get on top of the roof, which actually isn't solid, so that lets us get inside the blue house without unlocking the door from the inside. And it's kind of finicky because you need your control stick to be neutral during, like, right the moment of that jump, and it's a frame perfect jump, so... For quite a while, that trick, many people consider Blue House Skip to be the hardest trick in the entire run, and there's more difficult things these days, but it's pretty notorious for being,
That's true.
yeah, for
So power bounce
something that
skip?
people...
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
I was one bounce away from 1.5 turn. I got 14 and 10. Rough life.
So depending on the enemy that you fight, the game assigns a certain range of power bounces that you can get. On Blooper, the lowest cap is 8, and I think the highest anybody's gotten is what, like what was it? What did you get one time?
I got 20 on stream one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
No
what
one
you're
knows for
looking,
sure.
what you're looking to do is get hopefully at least 23 bounces between the two of them, so that you can kill them in 2 turns. You can also get 1.5
Yeah,
turn if you get.
I actually had
5,
perfect
which is
caps for a 2 turn, so I got 11 and 12 caps.
Yeah. every enemy has a different range of caps, and a cap is just like, even if you hit the action command, no matter what, the game is going to stop you. Whether you hit it or not, the game will stop you. You can tell whether you get capped or not based on Mario's animation on the last hit on the enemy. If you, like, fly back to your original starting position, then you got capped. But if you just, like, fall directly down to the ground, it means you just missed the action command.
Yes. At this point on, power bounce caps are probably the most abundant form of RNG throughout the run, and in that fight in particular, getting a 3-turn fight versus a 2-turn fight, it's a fairly noticeable difference in terms of how much time
Blooper
it
is
saves.
the biggest cap RNG until Chapter 8.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Barring, of course, the exceptional... barring the exceptional circumstances and some of the late game bosses where you get 3 caps, so a lot of the bosses, as you get later in the game, the lowest... like, the likelihood of getting a lower cap generally increases. And there's a couple bosses where if you get the lowest possible cap, which is a 3, then it's actually... you either lose so much time, or it's simply straight up impossible to beat the boss with current strategies we use in the speed run.
Pretty much
But-
every boss after Chapter 5, the range of caps is basically like 3 to 7 is like the best possible.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
3 caps are extremely rare, so we don't plan around them. We generally plan around either getting a 4 or a 5, because those are the most common.
Unless you're on
I
Final
believe
Bowser.
recently
Final Bowser
the
3 caps are
Spear
very,
range is
very
nice.
common.
Yeah.
So that spear guy that Giga just had to dodge for quite a while when this route was first established, where we did chapter 5 right after getting Parakarry and all cards, we'd have to get the Power Quake badge, and finding a good way to get around that spear guy was probably one of the most frustrating things that we had come up with, and thankfully now it's really straightforward. But
I
for
did
a
not
while,
get
it
FP
just-
drop, by the way.
Yeah.
So after this fight, after the first Dark Koopa fight, you're left with 7 FP. And it takes 8 FP to use 2 Power Quakes. So if you get an FP drop from the first Koopas, you don't have to eat a honey syrup after them,
Hi.
which saves about
I
10
got the
seconds.
SP drop, thankfully. I also picked up a heart drop one too, but that shouldn't have been done.
Yeah, the
So I think
animation.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do the fast cutscene. I think.
I actually just got 2 heart drops.
Dang.
So yeah, so anyway, the animation
Because
time
of a PAL
item
block.
is about 6 seconds. So that's why that's the main reason.
What
why
are you
getting
talking
that
about, Mom?
drop saves time.
Yeah, he was here.
When did he come?
Earlier.
Like
don't
right
know.
after I left, or
Yeah, pretty close.
What I
around there.
forgot to do
He brought wine.
here is you
Oh, it
generally
did?
Yes.
you want
Coming
to
out of
collect at least most of the coins here, because all the coin sprites lag the game very hard. So
Hi, lad.
Hi.
I have to do some mowing of the lawns.
Yeah, it takes time to collect.
Unfortunately.
It takes time to actually collect the coins, but it's still faster to collect them all because, as Giga just said, if you decide to let all the coins drop and eat the jam and jelly immediately, the game will just get incredibly laggy, and the animation to eat the jam and jelly will be longer than what it would have been to. Well, the extra time would have been longer than to just collect the coins. So it's kind of
as you can see, it's
annoying.
lagging pretty hard now. So.
Yeah.
The struggles of being a 17-year-old.
It's a rough life.
It is, man. It's a hard knock life.
Yeah, having police cars is much better. They don't ask you things.
Suppose Mansion has a lot of variable RNG, like not that big of a time difference, but each of these mini games is slightly random.
It can go up. I would say like upwards of like 15 seconds if everything's awful, but it's usually
That
not
would
that
be
much.
really awful.
Yeah, it can happen though.
Yeah.
Definitely can. Yeah, that's like everything combined. So like how long it takes for this boo to throw the record into another boo, and then coming up next is the record game, where you play the record for a certain amount of time for the boo to condense, and that's RNG. And then later we have a Super Boots minigame, which how many tosses they do. Super Boots is also random, so...
Yeah, I actually got like, I actually got like the worst possible RNG from the Dark Koopas. I got 2 Power Block drops, which have no use whatsoever.
Didn't even know.
They have no use whatsoever, so they're just in your inventory, and you just waste the time grabbing them. And then because I got a Power Block drop on the second fight, I couldn't move out of the way of 2 hearts, so I ended up picking up 2 hearts. And as you saw, we got first struck by those Dark Koopas on purpose because we wanted to get into peril, which is 1 HP because we're going to be using a badge that we're going to get in Chapter 3. So I have to take the time to damage myself more on some spikes. Waste about like 10 seconds. It's nothing bad, but an annoyance nonetheless.
It's like. So, by the way, we were just talking about power blocks. So, yeah, they do last. They will stay with you throughout the game. And one thing that people want to remember to do is you could use that power block on a certain fight in Chapter 8. If you don't, like I did one time, you might end up using it by accident during the final boss, and that can lead
that
to
can cause a death, but...
Yeah, it's unlikely,
Yeah.
but it's possible. It's pretty comical, though, I guess.
I got the best boot RNG, actually.
And I got the worst. Oh my god.
Did you guys explain that yet? Because I was a bit sidetracked.
Yeah, we just
Oh,
all the
RNG.
boo RNGs
Yeah,
are just
I heard
for
it's
the
been
boots. Okay.
Yeah.
all the boo games have their own RNG. Obviously, for the Super Boots ones, it's how many times they throw the boots between each other. Best is 6, worst is 10. He got 6, I got 10.
That was a 6 toss army. We don't count the first one, like the
Yeah.
initial throw too.
Yeah.
That was a weird army. Unless I just can't count, which might happen sometimes. Counting's pretty hard.
I'm not sure.
Agreed. Counting stuff.
They're all equally rare. 6 to 10.
Yeah. Just after every throw, it's just like, there's an X% chance it'll stop and an X% chance it'll throw again. Each throw is independent of one another past 6.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, if you want to save before Bubba's castle, like right outside, I think I'll be doing
Probably a good idea.
I have 3 HP. How much damage do they do? I block it.
3.
that. They do 300. They do 300.
Gotta block it.
Good one.
Could block it.
Could block
I
it,
could be the
yeah.
god. The fast strats of getting back.
Apparently,
in
I'm
the
actually
game.
ahead of my PB barely at both.
Oh man.
I'm currently 2 seconds behind my PB.
So one thing to note moving on these screens is you do want to be a bit careful because you're generally going to be in peril most of the time when you walk through here. So if anything first strikes you and you don't, well, those Paragoomas at least, and you don't block them, then you'll just die straight up. And that applies to all that applies to pretty much all the enemies in Chapter 3.
Yeah.
This
Well, actually,
time
Juicy and I have more than 1 HP. I have 2 and he
Yeah.
has 3. So.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in general though, you'd have to be wary of that.
For some
Yeah,
reason,
these-
I thought I would say. Chapter 3 doesn't really have that many like glitches or sequence breaks in it. It has a lot of like cool movement though, and like small time savers. There's like one glitch, I guess.
So Juicy just grabbed that repel gel from that block. It's gonna be useful in a later fight, of course, but getting that repel gel is one of the more, for some people, I know for me at least, but one of the more annoying things that you have to do on this segment, because there's a Hyper Goomba that's literally just, he's sitting super close to the repel gel. And you have to basically line yourself up under the block and grab that repel gel very fast, or you'll get an encounter there.
Yeah, if you mess up at all, then it can bite you really hard.
Yeah, I think all of us have had bad moments with him sometimes. But,
Yeah.
I did save, by the way.
So far we've gotten the Chapter 1 card, the only one that we've gotten.
Yeah. We will actually be completing Chapter 3 while we're here.
Yeah.
Alright, so Juicy just upgraded Parakarry. The main reason we do that is to increase the amount of damage that we have for our shell shot for the upcoming boss fight. And the only other partner whose upgrade we really use a lot is Bombette, but we don't need hers until Chapter 2, so...
Yeah, Parakarry is generally the most useful partner in battle.
His attack is both
Yeah,
very
shell shot's like
fast
just-
and the most powerful, tied with like Bombettes and yeah, I think just Bombettes.
But Parakarry can hit like any enemy. Where
It can hit any enemy, and the animation is much faster.
The cards refer to the Star Spirit cards that spawn at the end of every chapter. So it basically just means that we have to beat every single chapter.
yeah. One of the main reasons for this is because it is possible to get Star Spirits without touching the card in some cases.
Yeah.
So, and like if you could do that, then it would like the run wouldn't like make as much sense. You're not like like you could beat a chapter without really beating it at all, like any part of it. So, like that is why we want to be specific with all cards. You have to touch every card.
Yeah, and that's going to come into play later with the Chapter 3 card in particular. We have a certain trick for touching the Chapter 3 card that literally, the whole purpose of that trick is to touch a card in a way that saves time. But they'll spin out and get to it, I guess.
So Juicy
But
just
not only in
picked
addition
it
to
up.
that, but these like Chapter 7 card and 6, or well, Chapter 6 and 7, you could just beat it. You get the Star Spirit without the card at all.
Giga
Oh,
just
yeah.
picked up Mega Rush, which is pretty much the most important badge in the run. Increases your attack by 4 when you're at 1 HP, which is the main reason that we've been lowering our HP.
One of the big things that probably distinguishes all cards in Glitch List from any percent as well, because in any percent you don't do Chapter 3, and therefore you don't pick up Mega Rush, so that greatly complicates a lot of the boss strategies for that category. It's probably the only major trick and used at all in Chapter 3 is coming up very shortly for Juicy. So, after this cutscene, when he gets out of the castle, he's going to use something that we refer to as Quick Escape, where instead of going all the way down the stairs when Tuba is chasing you, you can actually sneak behind him and use Parakarry to do an out-of-bounds flip and get to the bottom floor a little bit quicker. It's kind of self-explanatory once you see it, but just giving you a heads
Yeah, it
up.
saves about 7 seconds, I believe.
Something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, what's surprising about it is how little time it saves, if anything.
Blue House skip is the main reason, but you can skip chapters in any percent.
Yeah. And actually, if
So
you were
they did
here
it a little
earlier with
earlier.
you, we already have sushi. And if we have our partner menu too, we already have sushi. We've already been to 5.
Yeah.
And we haven't beaten 2. And we're in 3 now.
And Juicy just got what we well, he got the swag hammer.
Yeah.
He was just mashing B and hoping to get just the right frame so he could hit the hammer as soon as he opens the door.
Worth
And
a
so
mention.
another note
Get the
about
jump.
so he's doing quick escape right now, and the only other thing to note about it is if he had messed it up somehow, it's a very difficult trick to mess up. But if he did, you can get into an encounter with Tuba, and he, as his actual title implies, he actually is invincible. And if you try to run away from him, your run meter starts off at the very bottom. So there's a very good chance that you won't get away, and you can just lose the run right there. Something to note,
I had
I
a
guess.
very fast quick escape, which was nice.
Very minor thing, but when you're leaving from Tuba Bluba's mansion, you're able to sometimes skip the text that pops up. It's slightly random though, so it doesn't always happen.
Yeah. I might have been able to do that. I kind of like didn't.
I got really close. I was a few frames away from getting in the loading zone. Didn't actually get it though.
Alright, so Juicy is about to fight Tuba's heart. It's probably one of the easiest fights in the game, at least as far as power bounce caps are concerned. All you really need to do is get two 5 caps, or a 6 and a 4. But even if you get, let's say, the worst case scenario, which is 2 4 caps, you can still beat them. You just have to do one extra shell shot on them. So it's like it's a minor time loss if you get really unlucky. But that's about it. It's a really straightforward fight otherwise.
Yeah, this is the first fight that they use Power Bounce and Mega Rush together, and as you can see, that does quite a bit of damage. That's the main combination that we use for pretty much every fight from now on.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient because this fight's so scripted to a degree. If you just do enough damage to him, he'll do this attack where he charges up for 1 turn, so even though we're at 1 HP, you don't have to worry about him hitting you. And not only that, his actual health bar says he has 50 HP, but if you do 45, he will just run away from the fight, and that ends it. So that makes it a lot easier in
Thanks for
terms of
that
power bounce
time.
caps. Flexibility to beat him.
And
Alright.
You have to fight the true hardest boss, Tuba Bluba.
Yeah.
He's tough.
So after this incredibly difficult fight that's coming up, is one of the harder tricks in the run, called Loading Zone Storage, or LZS for short. They're going to be doing a bunch of frame-perfect jumps to store the loading zone, and they're going to try and jump into the card so that they skip the cutscene that we would normally play.
Yeah, when it's successfully done, you'll see that we just touch the card, hit the ground immediately, and then we just go back into the loading zone, and we'll spin back onto the screen with the card, and the card won't be there. So it counts as us having collected it. We just didn't do the Peach cutscene. And if you fail this, it wastes a lot of time, so we're going to be saving.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright,
So-
so both of us.
It's very important also when you do this, like the order in which you touch. You want to make sure you touch the ground right after you touch the card. You do not want to touch the ground and then touch the card, because touching the ground will remove the storage that you have, the loading zone.
I actually just got it first try. That was really good. Alright.
Wow, very nice, thank you. That was just ridiculous.
So yeah, that was 6 frame-perfect jumps that I did right there to touch the card, and then trigger the loading zone to skip the cutscene.
It's not quite as horrible as it sounds, because this game is a 30 FPS game, but it's
Did
still...
we both get it
normal
first try?
parts.
Is it the
We
dream?
both got first
The
try.
dream!
The dream. The dream.
That is much harder than it looks.
Yeah, it's
To explain that in a little more
Much harder
detail,
than Alex.
basically
Yeah, we-
loading zones take 2 frames to actually bring you through them. So if you do frame perfect jumps, you don't give the game enough time to grab you, so you can just bring the loading zone with you, and as you touch the card, instead of going to the peach seed, you'll go back through the loading zone.
That was good. I just jumped in the loading zone. That was good.
Oh man,
This has
Blooper.
Beast. So yeah, that was not supposed to
so
happen.
LZS. Yeah. So LZS has another useful property that we will really use to our advantage, particularly later on. But it kind of skips over a trigger. So you'll notice that even though we picked up the card, his star power, well, Juicy and Giga's star power didn't change at all. So they still have 1 star power, even though they picked up the Chapter 3 card. And this will let us pick up certain cards at certain times and still retain the star power that we had. Like right now, it's not really important because we don't really need the star power for anything. But in certain later fights, particularly because we're doing Chapter 2 later, we're going to want to have Starstorm after we get the Chapter 2 card. So if you had not done LZS on that card, then you won't have Starstorm after Chapter 2, and you wouldn't get it until after Chapter 6. But,
So yeah, what I did wasted about 20 seconds. I accidentally jumped
Yeah,
directly into the
actually-
loading zone instead of jumping around the loading zone like I was supposed to do. So yeah, I just triggered that cutscene, which is
I
it doesn't actually make a difference.
accidentally
It's just
jumped-
waste time.
I can mind if she skipped as well, so.
yeah. That is
So,
a
yeah.
very, very
Oh,
big
that's
trick.
tough.
That we didn't really
Yeah.
get a chance to explain it. So that's a very important trick. It's called we call it interchangeably Yoshi or Raphael skip because it skips the whole side quest. Well, it's not really side quest, but it skips the whole portion of Chapter 5 where you have to rescue the Yoshi kids as well as going into J Jungle, talking to Raphael, getting the Ultra Stone. It lets you go straight to the volcano. Just to get
Yeah,
to
once
the point.
once we hit LZS, kind of, there's a lot of like fast things that happen.
Yeah.
So it's, like,
Yeah,
hard to
it's-
explain everything. So,
Like we said, this
also
game
had first
actually does
cycle.
get very fast paced, with a lot of things going on that it's hard to
there-
catch if you haven't seen them before.
So we had the first platform cycle in Volcano, which saved like 15 seconds. If you get it, you need pretty much needs to be spin for it. And we also had a little trick here called Lava Skip, where we skip solving this puzzle, and when you get the Ultra Hammer, it's already solved. It works similar to how Pie Jump works, where you can actually, like, technically, I guess I kind of did it like the glitch way. You can do it just glitchless by like jumping around the wall.
Yeah.
But like I kind of like stood on like the seam with Parakarry. So
Yeah. Generally, corners, teams are not very well programmed in this
Yeah,
game. so
corners. You'll
you're
see
able to just kinda
later
walk
with
into them.
with a certain partner that corners are very badly programmed.
very badly programmed.
And I was talking about it earlier when we discussed Pie Jump, but that's the trick that we consider, even though it's similar to Pie Jump and how it works. We consider it a glitch because after you do it and then get to the Ultra Hammer, the blocks will be already pushed for you, and that's how you're able to get back to the other side. So that's the reason that we consider it a glitch.
So yeah, so you saw me
We
just
don't-
damage
now we
myself
don't
there
glitches.
on the fire bar to get into peril again. Because we are going to obviously be taking advantage of Mega Rush again in the next boss fight coming up.
By attempting to open your menu, like on top of the lava bar, you cancel your invincibility. So you can
Yeah,
take more
for whatever reason.
damage, which normally isn't good, but for us it's good.
Yeah. Another small trick that Juicy just did, Parakarry. Yeah, another case where the corner, you can just walk right into it, and if you walk into that corner and use Parakarry, you can just go into the loading zone.
Yeah.
It's very
Makes
easy,
Mario's
but I had
hitbox
to.
big enough.
Alright, so Lava Piranha, by the way, is the very first boss fight in the game where 3 caps are possible, and you have to be a bit concerned if you got 3 caps on them. I mean, again, it's very unlikely, but it's just
This is the
something
one
to know.
one of the only chapter boss fights where getting a 3 cap is actually like recoverable. But there is a spot where if you get it, you can't recover. So
Yeah. They die here on purpose, just the way it works out. Ends up being... The boss perfectly puts you back into peril after you come back to life, so...
Yeah. So we just waste a
So
life shroom and
useful.
let ourselves get back into peril. because the 2 attacks
I
just so
had to
happen
really
to do 9
contain
damage.
I usually pretend that I actually die here, but I just see it's not a fan of me.
I actually got just barely under an optimal fight. I actually could have had an optimal first phase because I didn't get capped at all, and I could have done 2 5 bounces, but I got a 6 on turn 1, so I just played it safe, did an untime belly flop, and went for a 4 on the second turn.
There's a certain bit of decision making involved with whether you should do on-time belly flops or not. But if you opt not to do them and your caps are bad, that can cause certain problems, especially if you get a 3 cap. But yeah, as you said, the optimal fight is just 2 5 caps and do nothing.
Yeah.
Sushi.
But however, if you get a 5 on turn 1 and you do nothing with Sushi and then you get a 3 cap, you actually can't win the fight. It's not possible. You're going to die. Well, I mean, you can do some janky strats, but it just end up messing up the fight completely. It's not worth it. I actually just got a 3 cap on turn 2 of phase 2. It doesn't matter. That actually doesn't matter at all. Because on phase 2 we do a 4 and a 3 bounce.
Usually
So it
you
doesn't
stop
actually
at 3
matter.
rounds.
Yeah, we stop at 3 bounce there anyways. It's just kind of funny that I ended up getting a 3. Because 3s are actually very rare.
And I just killed him as well.
Yeah, in phase 2 it doesn't really matter unless you get double 3 capped, which should pretty much never happen, but...
Double 3 cap on Lava Piranha would be pretty insane.
It's like getting
It'd be
struck
pretty
by lightning.
exciting.
That'd be something.
I mean, pretty much all of us have gotten 3 capped on the boss at some point, but I don't think anyone's ever gotten double 3 capped on Lava Piranha before, so that'd be a first.
My worst 3 cap look was in a reset run on Crystal King, which I'm sure all of you remember. I did the fight twice and I got 3 cap
Oh, yeah.
both times.
Yeah, so many of you may be wondering why we don't do LZS to that card, because we actually can. It's just that if you do LZS to that card, there's no way for you to trigger yourself late enough to get the seed after Chapter 5. So you actually have to, or else you aren't able to get into Chapter 6 at all.
Yeah.
Actually, there is a way. There is a way, but it's just really, really, really slow.
Slow. Yeah. Something to note about this card in general, this is the only card not directly linked to a beach scene. So in addition, like, you could do LZS in the card, but it actually wouldn't even go away.
Yep.
So it doesn't, like, then you'd have to, like, leave Chapter 5 and do something else, but it's like, it does, but then you can't get the Chapter 5 seed, so.
Yeah,
the
that actually
escape sequence
allows.
is what actually triggered.
Yeah, that actually allows us in any percent to just, any percent to just skip Lava Piranha completely and just go into the loading zone behind it.
Yeah.
And then we get to do this escape cutscene as if the game thinks that we already beat Lava Piranha, and that triggers the Peach cutscene and makes it think that we beat Chapter 5.
Yeah. So just we'll talk briefly about that. Similar to what you saw us do with the Toad in Prologue, you can do with Colorado. Colorado hangs up like above Lava Piranha, where Lava Piranha is, like in the room, on the top part of the room, and you can clip with him and just go out of bounds past Lava Piranha. Just don't go to the escape without fighting anything. So.
Yep.
But since, of course, we already mentioned all cards, we have to take the cards, so we have to kill Lava Piranha.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll actually be going to Chapter 4 after this, and fighting Lantern Ghost and General Guy.
Yeah, this will be the first instance where we go to a chapter that's earlier than a chapter we've already completed.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff.
Note that we haven't actually completed Chapter 2 yet either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be going there later.
So the way this game handles, like, if you've beaten a later chapter, but then not an earlier chapter, and you revisit that earlier chapter, it handles it. The game kind of freaks out a little bit with those situations. So we have to manipulate it in a way that works our advantage, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Yeah, if you were here for Alder's Run, like he was talking about, if you do something, if you hit a certain trigger in a game, the game assumes that you would have done everything before it, so that's pretty much what we take advantage of here. Since we do Chapter 5
Yeah, but some things,
before 4,
yeah.
the game assumes that we've done everything in Chapter 4 already, so we don't have to get the toy train, it's already there. But because the game thinks we beat Chapter 5, General Guy just isn't there, because it assumes that we beat him and got the card already. So we have to actually hit a trigger in Chapter 4, which is getting the frying pan out of the chest, to re-trigger General Guy being there, and the Lantern Ghost cutscene to get Watt.
Yeah, like I was trying to add in, some things aren't true beaten. So of course you need the frying pan normally to complete Chapter 4, but with how some things work, like I think at some points in the game, like with locks, or maybe not locks, but other things, like the game will like, oh, you already beat it, so like the item won't be there anymore in some cases, but most like key items in this game, if you've never gotten them and you trigger past them, they restore the state of the game to the chapter that it's in.
Yeah.
And here we actually fail the quiz because it's slightly faster. We don't want anything.
Actually, don't even fail it. We just tie it. If you tie it, no one gets anything, except you get the Parasol. If you lose, one of the Koopa Trolls actually gets an item. So we just tie with the 2 Koopa Trolls so that no one gets anything. We just immediately get the Parasol. And obviously, if you win, you get a Jam and Jelly. So it just skips getting an item, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Question is,
these cutscenes, as you can see, are pretty long.
do we want to save before Chapter 4 in LZS?
That is always the question.
It's a good question, because Chapter 4 the other Chapter 3 and Chapter 2 LZSs, there are save blocks immediately outside of the room where you do the LZS. Whereas Chapter 4, you have to go back 2 screens, and it wastes, like, a minute to go back to them. So it's always a decision whether or not you want to save before doing Chapter 4 LZS.
You can fail. You can usually when you fail LZS, you don't trigger the cutscene, or like you just retry immediately. But there is a way to fail it, unfortunately, where you accidentally trigger the cutscene.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
I
is-
mentioned it.
that is the
I
reason
mentioned
why
it.
we're
A,
using-
I mentioned it a bit earlier, but basically with LZS, the idea is when you do touch the card, you want to do it as you're descending in your jump, and you also don't want to be touching the ground, even if it's just a frame earlier. If you're touching the ground at all before you touch the card, like so, that, and also if you're touching the card while you're ascending, those 2 things, if you do that, even with the loading zone stored properly in the beginning, you'll still trigger the cutscene. It's very heartbreaking when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can actually continue the run, but it just wastes a lot of time for the Chapter 4 run. Whereas if you do, in terms of the Chapter 2 LZS, which is what we're going to be doing later, you actually can't continue the run, I don't think. Pretty sure that LZS is required for the route that we do.
Well, yeah, I discussed it a bit earlier, but with
You
the
could,
main
but
reason
it's
that one,
not
you could, but
Like,
just
it's not good
yeah,
at all.
it's because you want to have Star Storm for Chapter 6, and as I said earlier, if you failed that LZS and triggered the cutscene, your Star Power will also be reset to 2, which means you want a Star Storm.
Yeah, Starstorm is pretty important, especially in Chapter 6.
So, yeah, as we discussed earlier, you see those Ho trainings already in the box because thinks that we beat it already.
Yeah, in the old wall cards route, you'd actually do a trick called Early Train, which would let you trigger Chapter 4 early to your advantage. So you'd actually have this funny contradiction where after you beat Chapter 5 in the old route, you do Chapter 4, and the train would be there, but then you'd have the train into your inventory as well. It's kind of one of these funny little things.
So in order to get the, in order to be able to go hit this switch, you have to go to a station before going to pink. So they go to green and then pink.
Yeah, the idea is he wants to go around from the right side, so that gives him access to the blue switch, and then after he gets the frying pan and re-triggers Chapter 4, he'll be able to go to Red Station, which is where the 2 bosses of the chapter are at.
Another corner clip there.
Corners
Let's see
are
Skip
good.
waiting for the Shy Guy to open it up.
Mind our corners are well programmed.
So yeah, as we said earlier, now that we've gotten the frying pan, the game believes that we're in Chapter 4, so now we can go and fight Lantern Ghost and subsequently General Guy.
Had my patented struggle with
The
the
classic.
wall clip. It wasn't awful, but it was a little bit of a struggle.
By the way, it's not really doesn't necessarily save time to do it on the way to do the wall clip on the way back, but if you decide not to do it, there is a balloon guy waiting to your left, and it's purely RNG whether or not he will get you if you just use the Jack in the Box thing to get to the other side. Whereas if you just wall clip, you can just spin straight left for the wall and always get past him 100%.
Yeah. Shoutouts to Glitchless, which has to
Yeah,
risk getting
God.
hit by him.
I
think it
totally
is
just
actually
realized I
faster
did not
to
save before this
use
fight.
wall clip.
That could be a problem.
Well, that
Hope
could
I-
be a problem.
Don't mess up. Or get capped.
Alright, well thanks for reminding me, I will be soon.
I actually got the early cycle though, so hype.
Yeah.
Nice.
So a quick note: the Chapter 4
I
boss fights are among
totally
the most
messed up.
difficult in the game.
I messed up. Oh, I'm really dumb. Okay. So what I did is I switched to bow a turn later than I should have. Which is a problem.
Refresh?
I can just out of sight and he'll do an attack. I'll be fine. I'll be okay.
Yeah, you jump on the lantern like
Yeah.
like the old back.
Just safe strat, yeah.
Okay. So I totally goofed this. God damn it. The one time I didn't save, dude. Now I have to jump on this lantern. The odds of me actually doing that are just dumb because I'm really bad at this action command. I missed it. So, yeah. That sucks. No, I'm
Too
dead.
late.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rip.
In any case, though,
So yeah, what I did,
So-
basically what I did is I just switched to bow on the wrong turn. I was supposed to switch to bow on the second turn, I accidentally switched on the third, which is a problem. So from here I'm still at the end of chapter 5, so that's an unfortunate occurrence.
Good.
yeah. That's
I guess I'll continue, whatever. See how it goes. That is a
yeah, so
dumb
you really
way to
got a
mess up that
chance
fight,
to talk about this.
unfortunately. Way to mess up that fight. Unfortunately.
Alright, so
There's not
sorry.
really much
Commands
point
can
in
be a bit-
stopping.
The reason action commands can be a bit tense in Chapter 4 is, like we mentioned earlier, VC lags in certain areas, and Chapter 4 is a horrendous area in that aspect. All the fights have variable amounts of lag, and you can get random speed-ups. And basically, yeah, every action command is a little dangerous, and occasionally it's going to be hard to hit.
This is the point I was just about to get to. Game Rob basically mentioned it very eloquently. But the point is, the boss fights in Chapter 4 are among the hardest in the game just because you have to deal with this lag.
I see someone asking about using Goombario. I normally do actually use Goombario during Lantern Ghost, but it is like slightly harder than using bow, so for safety I'd prefer to use bow. Actually, in the last marathon that I did, I used Goombario and I died actually, so. But I saved.
Yeah, landing the action command on the lantern with Goombario is getting it like lit up enough is more difficult than with just using bow. And also, if you jump on Lantern Ghost in the dark, that'll further exacerbate the lag. So things like using the vulture, in which we do to make the caps on the fight more generous for us. Like it's like there's several things you can do that can make the lag worse. So it's kind of we're making a choice of, well, if we don't use that vulture, for example, then we'd have to deal with having to get a 7 or 4 bounce on Lantern Ghost, or 2 5s. And getting a 4 happens often enough on Lantern Ghost where it's really nice to have the little shroom for us.
Yeah. Lantern Ghost used to be a lot bigger of a run killer.
Yeah,
You can still
he's
lose the
still
run to Lantern Ghost
very
to
much a pain,
RNG.
as you can see.
He's still probably, yeah, he's one of the harder fights.
It's kind of surprising. Like, he seems simple enough, like on the surface, but it's just so many aspects of that fight are just frustrating.
Yeah, the smarter thing to do on that fight. The smarter thing to do on that fight for me is what I should have done when I realized that I switched to bow on the wrong turn. I should have just refresh, let myself get hit to get back into peril, and then just done the fight as normal. It wouldn't have actually made a difference, it would have just been slightly slower. Looking back on it, that's what I should have done.
That's why I suggested refresh. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, you just make the worst decision possible.
Yeah. Not a situation that you're in very often, so.
Yeah. Like I said, I have actually never done that before.
If that were to happen in a normal RTA attempt, it wouldn't be too surprising if you just reset from that anyway, because you'd lose a lot of time. But yeah.
Giga is ahead right now.
Yeah. Cheering for me because of the hype, but I'm actually.
Lantern Ghost.
I had the hypest mistake of all time.
It was relatively close up until that
Right.
point, so
Yeah,
Alright.
very fun. Okay.
Well, the goal now is just to get us up 3 times, because that lost me 10 minutes. Unfortunately.
So yeah, the main action commands that are affected by lag that you really have to worry about missing are jumps. So that jump that Giga just did in the Shy Stack is one such area where you could, although it's rarer than the other speed ups, you could get a speed up on that jump, and if you miss a jump on the Shy Stack, there's no backup strat at all, you just straight up die. Thankfully with General Guy though, for the power bounce, you can afford to. Okay, I stopped there because I stopped my commentary because I
we're good.
didn't want to. Okay, but yeah, so doing power bounces on General Guy, you can afford to miss some, like if you get speed ups, and you'll just lose somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds from the backup strat.
Yeah, the power bounce on General Guy is probably the worst action command in the run. But you generally, it's not run ending, like they said.
I guess I will be saving at least time. I guess Juicy can gain some time on me if he doesn't save. So, I guess I'll be doing that.
Yeah, you can probably beat that Ox. Probably.
Yeah, sub 3 is free, it's true. So as you can see, it takes a very, very long time to save from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all sorts of things can go
second
wrong,
turn.
as we've just seen in a Paper Mario speedrun. So it's a precaution that's honestly very reasonable to take.
So again, same concept as Chapter 3, just 4 jumps instead of 6 for the LZS.
Alright, I'll remember to save before Lantern goes this time.
Yeah, it can be rough when your muscle memory is so
I was
ingrained
kinda
into not
just, like-
saving.
I was kind of just like in normal run mode
Yeah.
rather than I'm in the middle of a marathon race, so I just did what I normally do.
Which is fine basically up until like chapter 3 where you probably should start saving.
Alright, it's all worth it if I get early cycle twice.
I can die too.
Chapter 4 is
We'll
just
see.
a stinker.
I'm
in
officially a legend.
What
It
was
has been
I didn't
done.
get early cycle, so
Oh man.
you won in our hearts.
Yeah, I did it.
Alright. So right now Giga's taking a detour because we didn't go through chapter 3 the normal way, which is to go through Forever Forest. He's only this is kind of like an 8%. He's only going back here after being chapter 4 just to get the seed because he needs it in order to be able to get into chapter 6 a bit later on.
And so you might
So after he gets the seed, he's just
I
gonna go
was
to
just
chapter
gonna
2.
say, you might be wondering why we don't, because you can go through the forest, like, instead of going through the sewers, and you have to fight the Koopas when you go through the sewers, so you might be thinking, why do you do that? The reason is the reason why is because you have to fight Junior Troopa if you go through the forest, on the way in, like that, so, and that fight is actually one of the slowest fights that we used to do. It wastes a ridiculous amount of time, and so it actually saves time to go, even though killing all those Koopas.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing we tried thinking of doing also is seeing whether it'd be faster to get the seed from going through the sewers pipe instead of going through Tow Town, and actually, if you go back through the sewers pipe, you will still fight Junior Troopa, even though we're triggered a later chapter. It's really this annoying thing that unfortunately we can't really do anything about. And unfortunately, it seems like Juicy has just died.
Yeah, it looks like Juicy's internet is down right now.
Yeah.
Should be back soon.
So this boss fight's kind of weird. You'll notice what he did was he actually deliberately did nothing for the first few turns.
Yeah.
And this is all just so he can get into Peril, pretty much.
This boss is like it's definitely not like a challenging boss at all, but it's kind of annoying because he just doesn't attack you for a while. Like he doesn't do that much damage, and you actually want to take damage. So it's gonna be kind of frustrating because it's so slow to get into Peril. Getting into Peril is still fast. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've tried coming up with faster ways to beat him, but to the best of our knowledge, that's still the fastest
This is pretty
strat
much
that we can use.
So we're finally making our way back to chapter 2.
And you might
because
ask
we
why.
saved it so far in the end.
Yeah. You might ask why we bothered
Yeah.
killing Electro Blooper, because you don't. It's completely optional, and obviously it looks like the movement to the ruins is faster like that. But we were at Mount Rugged earlier, so why didn't we come here then? Well,
sounded like on your mic.
not only did I get spike shield by accident, I avoided the encounter. Watch what happened.
It sounded like you just got. Did you just get the spike? Did you just get the spike badge? That's what it sounded like on your mic.
Not only did I get spike shield by accident, I avoided the encounter.
Wow.
I made it back, guys.
Something. Hi, Juicy.
Oh man,
Hi!
that
I'm back!
was interesting.
Yeah, for
so-
anyone who watches my stream, that's a pretty common occurrence. My internet just kind of dying
I missed
for
the first
a
strike
minute.
here, unfortunately.
A hot minute.
Sonny, wait, what just happened to Giga? So, one thing you know about Ruins movement is, for whatever reason, you have this kind of curved perspective in the Ruins. Don't know why the game developers made it that way, but that means if you just hold straight right on your analog stick, you won't actually spin straight right. So I'm gonna assume that's probably the reason Giga ended up spinning into the spicy
Yeah,
badge
as for why I didn't
accident.
get an encounter, I have no idea. I honestly don't. I was literally inside him. I did not get an encounter.
Alright,
Yeah,
so
Ruins
I'm not gonna be saving before the Celsius, such a general guy.
Unfortunately, I
at
was
least try
supposed
to make
to,
up a little bit of time.
while I was on that moment of avoiding that encounter while getting spike shield somehow, I accidentally missed the first strike on the stone chomp, which wastes like 10 seconds. I also want to grab this stone key in a specific way, because getting these chomps drop hearts when you kill them, and I really would like to avoid those. It's really slow to get a heart. So.
Yeah, heart drops.
Yeah, you want to be in
really
peril.
rare.
You want to be in peril for the boss fight, because that saves quite a bit of time, obviously. It should be mentioned, like, there's, like, doing Chapter 2, like, there's a variety of different reasons that doing Chapter 2 this late ends up saving time, and one of the reasons is that you can do the boss fight while you have Mega Rush and Power Bounce, because that saves an entire turn.
Yeah.
And you might be
You also do
asking
these
why
jump
I'm getting the Super Hammer right now. Because I have the Ultra Hammer. You saw me using it on the stone blocks. It works on them. But as you also saw, when I went by the main room where you put the stone keys in, it was already open. And same reason we said earlier, that well, General Guy wasn't there unless we got the frying pan. Same thing with Toon Koopa. He's not there unless I got the Super Hammer. So unfortunately, I have to overwrite my Ultra Hammer, and it is actually a Super Hammer now. It cannot break Ultra Hammer blocks. Thankfully, we don't have to break any Ultra Hammer blocks for this run. And you might be thinking how that's possible, but you will get that later.
Yeah, there's no other place in the run where we actually would use the Ultra Hammer, like, for any combat purposes. Power Quake does the same amount of damage regardless of your hammer. And there's only one spot that we would need it, which is to get Ultra Boots.
Yeah.
But we have another way to do that.
Yeah.
And then that said other way is the whole reason that this major routing change where we do the chapters out of order is a thing now.
And yeah, a bonus to cutting Chapter 2 so much later in the run is like all the fights are a lot faster. As you saw, Stone Chomps, I did Untimed Power Quakes, which are extremely fast. Like probably the one, if not the fastest way of dealing with them. So.
Yeah, I got first
like
try
GTS
LZS there, so
Nice.
I saved like a hot minute over Giga because I didn't save,
Yeah.
even though
I
it doesn't make much of a
I was
difference
watching
anymore.
Smooth General Guy fight Smooth LZS, so as well.
It's also
Yes.
very unfortunate, like, it's barely, like, not possible to kill Toon Koopa on the first turn, unless you get, like, insane luck. So if you could, you would skip this little chomp cutscene, but, this is the next best way. You still murder him in 2 turns, though.
You need
Murder.
Lackluster to get the Ultra Boots. Like,
Yeah, you
the
need
trick
Lackluster.
that we use to get the Ultra Boots, you need Lackluster, so we can't get Ultra Boots now. We'd have to wait until we do at least part of Chapter 6.
Yeah. You need Lucky
Never
for the
even
trick and
attempt it.
just to get into the room.
Yeah. If you could get the Ultra Boots earlier, that would be very nice. But if you get there without, if you get them without Lackluster, but Lackluster is very needed in 2 ways. So. All right. So I will be thankfully save block for this one's really close by. This one's a little bit different. I can't just do full jumps all the way to the card, and there's a ceiling above the loading zone, so I have to like maneuver around the ceiling, and I have to do the last jump differently.
Yeah, this is the most awkward, isn't it?
All right, I got first try though.
Even though it's even though it's the shortest LZS, a lot of people consider it to be the most difficult for that reason. Because LZS is sort of a rhythm-based thing, kind of. So with this one, you really can't just rely on pure rhythm to do it, because the timing of the jumps is different because of that door frame.
Yeah.
And that is the last of the card LZSs in the run.
Yeah, when we go back to Chapter 2, all the puzzles are already like in their completed state. We don't have to lower sand. And because we have the Ultra Hammer, we can skip the Super Hammer puzzle. So those things save a lot of time.
So yeah, also a lot of a lot of the time saved from doing the ruins like this late game is the movement back to Toad Town is much faster. Otherwise, you'd have to go all the way through Mount Rugged and take the train back.
Yeah, in summary, the three main things is you got faster movement, you can do the stone chomps much earlier because you have the Ultra Hammer, and the Toot and Koopa fights faster. Those are the main reasons.
And the Super Hammer puzzle skip as well, because you don't have to do a puzzle.
And that, yes.
That takes a long time to do.
So Giga's picking up Quick Change here,
Yeah.
which lets you change partners in battle without taking up the turn,
Yeah.
which is useful in the late game.
For some reason, we like when this like run went through its routing phases, we just like never thought of getting quick change now. Like ever since like Peach Warp was found, we don't go to Merlon's to like because normally you have to view a cutscene area with Chapter 7, but now we don't have to do that. But after that, we kept getting quick change at like really awkward times that were really slow. But you can just get it right before Chapter 6, and it's pretty fast. So. So as we mentioned earlier, the English route would have to put the Chapter 5 seed in last here. It doesn't really matter when you plant the seeds, it'll always like open the door and you go to Chapter 6 as normal. So as you saw, I was actually triggered in Chapter 2, but now it'll put me in 6. It doesn't, so like normally you're supposed to open this only after you beat 5, but you don't need to do that. And quick change. It not only is it faster to switch partners in battle, but in some places, it's completely necessary for us to do certain strategies. So
Yeah.
it probably does like save time just on like faster partner switches like every time, but if not, it definitely does when we can use it for certain strategies later on.
Yeah, it's really useful to eliminate RNG in certain fights, where if you get a certain cap, you can just switch to whatever partner you need to save yourself.
So only if you're doing the moles in a specific order to manipulate when I get into peril, so this 3-mole fight is perfect because I'll do 3 damage unguarded, so all I have to do is just get about 1. And I'll make the next couple of fights really fast. Unfortunately, as some of you might also agree with, Chapter 6 can be kind of boring, especially there's also like no tricks in it, so so if you're into like glitchless, then you might like this part of the run, but otherwise it's not terribly
Chapter 6 is largely movement based.
Yeah, it's movement based. It's not that bad to run when at a higher level because it's like the movement's pretty fun, but
Yeah.
they can definitely be a little bit draining sometimes. It's just very long too.
So all the way back when he was in the sewers and he got an FP drop from the Dark Koopa, that allows him to use a maple syrup here, which slightly changes the strategy he uses on the small fight.
Yeah, it's a bit faster here to be able to use that.
Yeah, I actually didn't get enough B drops, so you'll see what the other strat is when I get there.
Yeah.
So here I don't actually need Parakarry, but it's faster to quick change in battle. I need him in a bit.
So yeah, as I said earlier, Chapter 6 is where we use the Wacka Bumps, because Chapter 6 has multiple fights close together, and you don't have a chance to level up in between them or heal. So you need the FP.
There's no heart blocks at all in the flower fields. If you wanted The only other way you'd be able to heal yourself completely back to full health is you'd have to pick up a bunch of berries spread throughout the flower fields, which is, of course, a pain and slow. Or you
You
could
can
go
just
back
go to
into
the
a
Toad
town.
House, yeah.
Yeah, that's also
Toad House would be
very, very slow.
probably faster. Definitely faster, actually.
Faster
Still
than getting
slow, though.
faster than getting
Well,
berries,
yes,
but
faster than getting berries, obviously.
So that room I used to, we nickname it sometimes the Room of Death, although it's really not that hard once you're good at it, but especially for new runners, you can get absolutely crushed in that room. That bee can just
Yeah.
destroy you. And the cloud is very fast as
Staying
well.
trapped between the bee and the cloud is not good.
Yeah.
The cloud
Yeah,
is a,
kinda tough to
cloud
counter
has a
is doable.
really huge. Yeah, the cloud is a huge hitbox too, so getting around them is a bit tricky.
And if you get hit by the bee, you're pretty much always getting first struck.
Yeah.
Which pretty bad because you need
Yeah.
help.
I need
bad,
basically
right,
full
so-
health. Mine is dealable under certain circumstances. Well, actually, during all circumstances, but like, you need to block everything if you have 9 HP, but you would not have 9 HP if you got hit by the bee. You would have at least
You would have
or
4.
5. You would have
Yeah,
4
4
or
or
less.
5.
4 or 5 if you
4 or
block it.
5. Save.
So yeah, you have to go all the way back and get a red berry, which wastes lots and lots of time.
Alright.
Alright, used to go.
So at least all of our LGSs have been solid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Both got 2 first tries in a second.
Yeah, that's actually
I would be
very
that's
good.
I would be very, very happy with those LGSs and runs. Very good.
Like honestly, it's very easy to lose a lot of time just to LZS if you let it go on. Like you can easily let it go on for too long.
There's a bit of RNG in
Yeah,
this fight.
despite all the time I lost from dying.
Did he just die again? I think so. Yes.
Did I?
Oh.
I might have just cut out because I wasn't
Yeah.
talking loud. My internet's not
Yeah,
actually
you cut
dead.
out, but your stream also froze. at the same
Did it
time.
really? Nice! We
Yeah.
made it. I have good internet, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's
I
actually like
apologize
not.
for my bad internet.
He could possibly come back. I'd have to probably die as well.
You'd have
somewhere.
to majorly goof some
Yeah.
boots, but
It's possible.
or die off
Which
Final
has-
Bowser. But
Anything
it is
is
possible.
possible, yeah.
Anything is
See
possible.
Showcase
It's
Race.
true.
And
It's
as I
very
mentioned-
easy to, die to fights.
Yeah, it is. As I was mentioned,
Just don't forget to save, like me.
I mentioned at the start that fight has a little bit of RNG in it. Whether or not you get the Spiny spawn, and it used to like majorly matter, because at first we thought when we started using a time saver where we have to do an encounter battle to do a trick later, and we used to kill that battle because it made like the setup for the trick easier. But we stopped doing that. It saves like a decent chunk of time by not killing them. It saves like 18, 19
Like
or
25
seconds.
seconds or something.
25.
Look at, I'm pretty sure it's
It's
more.
about 20.
About 20.
20.
20-ish, somewhere around there. But the EXP route didn't work out from not killing them, depending on if you didn't get the spiny spawn. But I just like somehow like it just came to me like all you have to do is just change up one fight, like in chapter 7, and it works out.
Yeah, we just
no matter
swap
what.
strats for fights.
Yeah.
That's it.
So now you can always do that. So it's nice. Like it used to be like RNG if you could save like that 20 seconds from or not.
Oh, we can
Thankfully.
do it every time now.
Yeah.
So yeah, more chapter 6 movement. That's all of chapter 6, right? Movement.
Fun
Like
fact,
chapter 6
if you're
movement.
familiar with any percent, you can actually do early lackluster in all cards, but it saves about 10 seconds.
Yeah,
So-
it's
Like 15.
Not
the
exactly
trick
worth
is
it.
ridiculously annoying sometimes, and it's
one
pretty
of the
difficult.
tricks
Like,
in the game.
and so it is not really worth going for in all cards. You just skip like, you skip a bubble berry in the cutscene where you get carried across spikes with the bubble. But it's just not that worth it. It takes long to set up, and if you fail it, then you're definitely gonna be losing time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
First
still
strike
need
last
all
base,
of you still need all of like the items to get to Huff, and in any percent, since you don't even need to fight Huff, you don't even bother getting those items. So that
Yeah.
clearly saves considerably more time just from that.
So, yeah, I'll be doing a very slightly different mole strat.
Yeah, the one GC has to do is a bit harder as well, because, well,
Before the screen.
you have to first strike a mole, or at least do the fastest strat. If you fail it, you could always airlift as a backup, but,
I also need to remember to change my badges, because if I don't, then I'm screwed.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's what practice
And this-
races are for.
Yeah, and this all stems from not getting, or whether or not you get that FP drop in the sewers before you start Chapter 3. It's one of those things you gotta think about, like, you gotta remember for the entire run, because that affects
Oh my god,
strategy run.
I'm so dumb.
What'd you do?
Alright. I switched my badges, but I didn't need the sink here. I'm a beast. Alright, well. I need to... What can I do? What can I do?
You could just run away.
Can't you just run away?
I could run away.
Try again. Yeah, just run
I
away.
do. I always forget you can actually run away from these fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to eat the stinky herb.
Actually,
But yeah, the thing is, if you didn't,
I jump
if
on
you
you,
got
please.
the FP drop, you'd still have an extra syrup, and you can eat that instead of picking up the stinky herb. And you wouldn't even have to first strike this mole as well, because you'd have 10 FP instead of 5. And then you just do Power Bomb and Power Quake, which is faster.
yeah, juggling all
That's what I
the
was
chapter
supposed to do
six.
the first time.
Juggling all, like, because not only does it change your fight strategies, but it changes, like, when you do things, so it can be pretty rough sometimes. Remembering all the strategies for the moles.
It's more my fault, because after I got my PB in this game, I really just kind of stopped playing it. And I honestly kind of both neglected and forgot about this marathon. I haven't really done too much practice, which is very much so my fault, but
That was
Okay, so-
that was all.
stuff happens.
Okay. So that encounter Giga just went past. That B is probably one of the, if not the most important, RNG-based encounters in the entire run.
Yeah.
Because one, it's as I just said, it's whether that bee even just touches you, it's completely luck based, and if he does, then your run meter starts off pretty low. So there is a chance that even if you mash perfectly, you can still not get away from the fight, and you'll just
That would
die.
end your run pretty
If-
much if that happened. Then
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did save just in case
I
the
think
worst
that's
happened.
I think that's the only encounter in the run that's completely random.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Yeah, you can do nothing about it.
It's just that damn bee just has great vision, and he can see you while you have no control in the bubble. So it's stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's the balloon guy in chapter 4, but that's you can avoid it.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have.
we
By
It
doing
is
it.
possible to avoid it if you can use glitches. So.
By the way, Giga has to block every attack in this fight.
It's pretty easy though.
It's easy, but it has happened to most people. Lost at least one run because they missed a block here.
Yeah. Fight's pretty simple.
Well,
You just power jump and chill shot him until you power him.
Yeah, until you're in peril and then you bounce him.
Yeah.
He has a lot of HP. I don't know why they gave him this much HP, but like
Yeah.
for a 50 HP
Yes,
boss,
yes,
like
50
that only
HP
they can
is
only
good.
do 4 damage attacks. Like they gave him like it's like weird. A lot of HP.
I mean, Mario is only 10, dude.
Well, he wouldn't. Casuals. usually
Mario's a
wouldn't have that.
superstar. But this Lakitu with 50, literally almost 5 times as much health as all the other Lakitus.
I believe it's 10 frames faster to select the second option. When she's talking to you there.
So there's two things you can do on the screen. I did the strat without using lackluster. I'd say it was 1 second, and it can be slightly risky because you do have to like spin by the B. So I mean, if you do it right, you always avoid him, but you can screw it up and get first struck on your Empire when you die. So
Yeah.
There's not too much to talk about this puzzle, honestly. It's honest. Even when I was just learning the game, I don't think I've ever messed up this puzzle at all.
I actually remember that puzzle from casual play. Don't ask me how, but I did.
I don't know, man. It's pretty complicated.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I remember it being tough
Struggled
casual,
for
but
hours.
once I learned how to actually run the game, is like I saw it done once and I never forgot how to do it. It's kind of interesting.
It's kind of tricky because they don't really let you know that you can't solve that puzzle without lackluster, so I get stuck there. Like, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So this fight was kind of annoying because basically only Mario can hurt like air enemies for a lot of like multiple air enemies. So if you could kill them in one turn, I would say that would be fine. But only categories where you would like double upgrade partners is that like vital?
Yeah.
I don't think there is.
There's another strategy you can do. Yeah, there's another strategy you can do with that fight, where instead of using the Thunder Rage, you could just Starstorm twice, and it actually is technically very slightly overall throughout the run faster to do that, because you can save the Thunder Rage for Final Bowser, and then getting the Shooting Star in Chapter 4, you can also skip doing that, but then you have to use Starstorm twice in that fight. It's kind of awkward and slow, so it's mostly a personal preference in what you do at that point, because it's such a small time save.
Yeah, it's a small time save, and it's like you're only gonna see it like on the final split, and the final split is like very RNG heavy anyway, so it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just like annoying to look at. 'Cause you know you're gonna to always like just be.
No one wants to
time off
watch two
something.
Starstorms, man.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I personally like it because getting the shooting star in Chapter 4 is kind of annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, just hit the block. It's like
the same as Game
no
Rob.
slower. These kitties just refuse to hit the block. So they
I
use
hit
a
the
stupid Koopa lineup.
I started hitting the block, but even then, it's not like you've never fallen down trying to get it.
I've fallen down because, for whatever reason, after you go on that spring thing, I'm going the wrong direction. After you go on that spring thing, you have like a year of delay before you actually get control of Mario for whatever reason. But I'm used to it now. I should really not talk while I'm trying to do flower field stuff because I just end up doing the wrong thing.
By the way, I
Yeah,
missed it.
it's
Did you get
very
that?
easy to get
Did
turned
you get
around.
the? Did you get the Shooting Star? Like,
Yes, I got the shooting star.
okay. For some reason it looked like it didn't. I'm just not paying attention.
I don't get it on the second trip, I get it on the first trip, that's fine. I talk to Rosie, and then I get the shooting star and go and get the crystal berry.
So even though like Chapter 6 is like straightforward in terms of a speed run, it's like where you're just doing everything as intended. It is like hard to keep track of everything because it's like it's a lot of backtracking and going all over the place. So like being focused on
Yeah,
Chapter
it's very
6
easy to just
is
get distracted.
very necessary. I'd say.
Yeah.
So what Giga's doing here is by going into this loading zone and then coming back, the cloud is on a better cycle. So and that saves 1 second.
Yeah. This is like one of the most major time saves I found that isn't like just from routing. 1 whole second.
The badge that he picked up there is a super jump charge, which he'll be using in most fights from here on out.
Super jump charge is an,
Every
is an
boss
extremely
fight,
overpowered
except for Final Bowser.
badge when combined with
Bowser.
power bounce, and it even is more overpowered when combined with Mega Rush. So you get to see the full effect of that here.
You got it just in time too.
Yeah,
because
'cause-
doing this fight without super jump charge would be so much more difficult.
Yeah.
Nintendo knew, man.
Basically, the idea with the Huff and Puff fight is if you hit him at all, he spawns minions, and you can suck him back. Not only do they do damage to you, but he can suck him back up to kill himself. So, obviously, the optimal way to do this fight is to finish him off with one attack, and super jump charge is just a tool we need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I only have 10 HP,
The
I have
strats are
to
pretty much.
out of sight one attack, and it just so happens out of sight and the wind is really fast because then you don't have to like mash A to reduce the damage.
Yeah. The strat for pretty much every fight from here on out is, or every boss fight is just to charge up while you get to 1 HP, and then once you're at 1 HP,
Alright, I got
bounce.
5.
I got that nice top step.
Oh man, I got 0 steps. I didn't even make it on there. I'm so sloppy.
Bowser is an exception to what Game Grab just said, by the way. We do not use
Yeah.
super jump charge on the 2 Bowser fights at all. We'll explain why we don't when we get there, but although you do use it in any percent, but yeah, that we'll save that explanation for later. It's an interesting thing to mention.
This is another case where you could technically LCS.
But it's way
This
slower
card,
to
but
do
it
so.
serves no purpose.
It serves no
It
purpose.
loses like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah. You have to
Yeah.
watch the Peach scene here, no matter what you do. So, because the only way to get past Chapter 6 without touching the card is, guess what? Watching the Peach scene. So, yeah, you gotta do this.
Yeah, it's common misconception. Like the LZS, yeah, it would require a ton of jumps, so that alone makes it not practical at all for RT attempts. But even if you do manage to do it, it's like there's no point. You just waste time anyway.
So now we got like
Yeah.
pretty long Peach cutscene, but coming after this is like a couple of the biggest tricks in the run. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting how you go
It
from
just
like
works out nicely.
yeah. It's like long glitchless chapter, then Peach scene, and then like biggest tricks of the run. So
Yeah.
It also works out nicely that it just so happens that both the cards that would require like 13 plus jumps, they would lose time anyways, or make it not possible to continue.
Yeah, it's very convenient.
yeah, they knew.
So the maximum amount of jumps we end up having to do is 6, which is very reasonable once you practice.
Juicy died on Liner Ghost.
And he didn't
Forgot to
save at the save block before Lightning Ghost, so
Yeah. That's pretty much it. It lost me like 10 minutes, unfortunately. But such as speedruns.
Yeah, this game is very easy to lose a lot of time.
Yeah.
Generally, like if you make a simple mistake, especially in boss fights, then there's nothing. you
Messing
can
up on Lantern Ghost is not uncommon. It's very easy to do,
yeah. Despite
the fact that the way I messed up was very odd. But
Yeah. Well, like this game can be like it can be like pretty close for racing as long as RNG cooperates. Like it's pretty good. Like the beginning RNG, and like we can stay really close for the most part. But like making one like menuing or routing mistake can be extremely punishing. You can lose so much time just from
yeah, this
that.
game is routed very strictly.
Yeah.
Or if you forget like one thing in the row, you could just be completely done and waste 10 plus minutes.
Yeah.
Or even for me,
Yeah,
I just
there
made
is
a
a small
simple
chance.
menuing error and I lost 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's a small
Even
chance
at the-
on Lantern Ghost as
even
well
at the
to get
very
double
end
fork
of, yeah, even at the very end of the run, like the last fight in the game, like stuff like that can happen too. And that's obviously the worst feeling
Yeah.
of all.
Unless
is
we
when
were
it was
playing on
very
Wii U VC
end.
and had save states, like the final boss is like ridiculous because
If you die on the second phase of Final Bowser, that's 8 minutes lost. No matter
you're
what.
clean. That's it.
Clean 8 minutes.
Yeah, the only
So
way
there's
you're
that
ever
possibility.
gonna be able to finish a run and like still have a chance at PBing it, when you die at Bowser is when your time is really unoptimized.
Yeah. When you're like new to the game, and most people aren't that good at Final Bowser when they're new at the game, so a lot of the time like all they need to do to PB is just not die to Bowser. So. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
This
why
is-
we constantly tell people who learn this game to not overlook Final Bowser, because you're going to
Practice.
want to. After
you need-
learning so many things and practicing so many things, you're just going to be like, alright, Final Bowser. You beat him once and then you move, and then you do a run. But
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Practice
is PS, this
Final
is,
Bowser.
This is
A lot.
this is our PSA on Final. Well, even pretty much every Final game where there's blocks, especially or Duff Action.
But
Man, you wanna
especially
practice
Final
those.
Bowser, because at least you could like save before most
practice
fights. Like,
Final Bowser a lot.
Yeah. Final Bowser's blocks are one of the hardest.
They're among the hardest. They're among the hardest.
Some of the
and
hardest.
I'm actually
And
kinda,
because it's the last thing in the run, you're gonna be more nervous blocking his attacks than anything else.
So right now I'm going to go get the Ultra Boots, and you might be thinking, wait a second, I don't have the Ultra Hammer, how am I going to get that? Well, you're about to find out. Using a very weird trick, I can bypass this. So the first thing I need to do is open the menu at the same time I get an encounter, like I just did there, which is perfect. So what this does is it kind of
So what
treats...
are you doing here?
Yeah, you can go for it, yeah. I need to focus, actually.
Go for it, Game Rob.
Yeah.
You got this.
I need to focus on this part.
It basically gives him Lackluster's hitbox, so he can now clip into walls by walking at certain angles, and by keeping Lackluster at the bottom of the block, nice, he can teleport to Lackey's height, and it lets him clip right through that wall.
Yeah, I actually just had a perfect Ultra Boots, so very good.
Yeah, that was really good.
There is a bit of risk involved in the trick. Well, there's lots of risk involved, but chiefly among them is if you mess up the trick, you can actually soft lock your game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually
If
forgot
you
to
fail
save
clip
too.
through the block.
Yeah,
You fail to clip
I was-
through the
I was
block,
about
and
to
then you
say.
get first struck by a Dark Koopa while you're riding on Lackluster. Okay, we should make a point. Once you get Clippy, which is the thing that we get from opening the partner menu, if you hop on Lackluster, you can't hop off. Well,
Yeah,
you can,
you soft
but if
lock.
you do, you soft lock the game.
Yeah.
But getting
So-
first struck will force
So
you
once you hop on Lackluster, you have to go back through a loading zone to cancel the state that you're in. So
Yeah.
if you fail to clip and then get first struck by a Dark Koopa, it automatically causes you to hop off Lackluster and you soft lock.
Many
Yeah.
runs have been lost to Clippy Boots in general because of failing some aspect of the trick. Either missing that second part just once because you
Yeah.
have to get yourself back into Clippy mode again if you do, or just taking too long to do the first part.
Even in my world record, I failed it and lost 40 seconds.
Yeah, I made it look
Yeah.
really easy,
Which is
but
unfortunate.
it's really hard because like you have
The
to
second part
open.
isn't like
It's not that hard, but you have the first part where you open the menu, the same thing encounter is trained perfect, and it's also like subject to like very small amounts of RNG because enemies like move around a bit. So,
second part is
It's
just
kinda
really
tough.
easy to mess up.
Yeah.
Like once you get used to it, you should be getting it like almost always, but it doesn't take much for it to.
Yeah, with nerves involved, it's very easy to just hold a slightly wrong angle on the control stick or have your thumb slip or something.
so you
Your
might
hands are sweaty. Yeah.
yeah, you might be wondering why the heck I'm going to the volcano, and the reason why is Peach Warp, which lets you completely break this game pretty much. I'm having trouble setting up the first clip though. Classic.
Yeah, Peach Warp is one of the biggest tricks in the game. It's not
Similar.
that important in all cards, but in any percent, it lets you skip 3 chapters or 2 chapters.
Yeah. And struggled a
It
lot
lets you
with
skip part
the
of
first
chapter
clip.
6 after you get lack. Yeah, it lets you skip chapter 6 once you get lackluster, and then all chapter 7 pretty much.
Yep.
So the first part is to clip it down to this loading zone, and then he's going to clip through the bottom part here. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to re-trigger the escape cutscene that happens at the end of chapter 5. And how this cutscene works is kind of interesting. It doesn't actually just bring you to the chapter 5 Peach scene, it brings you to the next Peach scene. So because he just watched chapter 6 one, this is going to bring him to the chapter 7 Peach scene. And conveniently, at the end of that cutscene, you appear right at the outside of the Crystal Palace, chapper 7.
So
So
what
these-
Giga just did also.
These clips can be very
part of the
funny.
trick just did. Yeah, so reason he even did that is if he just tried to go through the normal way, there's actually an invisible cage where Lava Piranha was originally standing blocking you, and if you walk into that, you'll get stuck, and that'll be the end of your.
I hope you guys enjoyed
He
that
has
hot,
to find a way to.
hot chest-on-chest action. Pretty hot. You know, from a volcano.
He had to find a way to. Yeah, he had to find a way to clip out of bounds, basically. And that's kind of what he did, or what he's attempting to do a few times, by getting into that lava semicircle thing, and that let him bypass the invisible cage. He's gonna do something. The way he did that is he did something called like teleports, I think. That's
Yeah.
the correct term.
No, like
Yeah,
so
like
Like a
teleports.
teleport. Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not quite a
he's
clip
gonna
through a
utilize
corner
that
like I
again.
did for the first clip. That's taking advantage of corners, but the second one is the teleport
Like,
through the wall.
for whatever reason, with Lackluster, he has very weird properties when you push him away from you and then use him. If you push him away from you and walk a few steps, it'll like automatically trigger him to come back to you immediately, but it'll take a very weird route where he moves very quickly. So if you like use Lackluster during that time where he's moving really fast, when you hop on him, you'll just teleport in a random direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not random
It's
direction,
not
but
completely
seemingly random direction.
Seemingly random, yeah.
Yeah. But we use it for two tricks. The first one being that bottom clip, where you just
Coming up now.
teleport to the right directly through the wall, and the next one in Palace, which Gay is going to do very soon.
So I actually technically
There's
just
another-
beat chapter 7, but but that doesn't really count for my purposes. I need to touch the chapter 7 card, but what that Peach Warp did accomplish is it put me right outside the palace, so I can just enter from there and skip all of the Shiver City stuff.
And unlike chapter 4 and chapter 2, when you go into the palace, nothing is beaten, and that's because, conveniently, entering the palace is actually a trigger. So as soon as he enters the palace, the game thinks he's in chapter 7. What he's doing here is mirror clip, so again he's going to use a Lackey teleport by pushing him along, and then by walking up into that pillar and hopping on Lackey at the right frame, you can clip right through the mirror.
It's a 3-frame window for this particular Wacky Teleport. The one that Giga did in the volcano is a little bit tighter, so it did take him
It's
a
either
few
one or
tries.
two, we're not really sure. We think it's one, but I don't know, it could be two.
Yeah.
There's another one you can. There's another clip you can do in the volcano that's a bit easier, but it's also slightly slower. So
My headphones
It's a
fell out. Did you
choice
talk
you have to
about mirror clip that I just did?
yeah, we did.
Okay.
We talked about
My
it.
headphones fell out.
Yeah, I'm just talking about it while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Doing mirror clip allows you
Yeah.
to skip the Dupa Ghost fight that would happen normally by blowing up the wall on the other side of the mirror from where you start.
And
So as you can
breaking that
see-
board across the mirror opens this hole right here to do this. So just again, it's like a mirrored place. Yeah. I still have to do that.
Yeah, as you can see though, the side effects of doing that is the reflections in the mirror, they never disappear. So it
Yeah.
leaves you for a few awkward situations, kind of.
It'll
Yeah, when
probably
you first do it, it's very confusing.
Yeah. We're used to it now, but
Like, used to it.
it'll definitely look very confusing to people who haven't seen
It
it.
trips you up at first.
So by the way, this minigame that Gig is doing, it's always the same. The real Bombette is always second from the right. You do have to be slightly careful though, because Bombette's hitbox is much, much bigger than it looks. So if you're lined up in a certain way, you can't accidentally hit her. I've done that fairly recently in a run. It's quite upset.
So normally your reflection like goes away during this part, but mine's still there. Yeah. And I did not get Spiny Spawn, so I have to up and away clip it too. So we were talking about this earlier, how we just have to swap up our strategies for fights, depending on if you got the Spiny Spawn or not. So normally,
yeah, because of the spiny gives you experience.
Yeah.
You either need a little bit more or a little less.
Yeah, because I did not get the Spiny Spawn, I need a little bit more. So normally we up and away the last fight. And this is actually kind of nice because this means there's less RNG involved.
Yeah. Slightly less enemies, so higher chance that up and away works on all of them.
Classic me.
Here's Clippy Boots.
Classic me. I seem to always get Clippy first try, and then just fail the clip, and then takes me a bunch of tries to get Clippy again.
So
If
you
you
fail
fail
the
the
bomb bet
bomb
minigame. We said
I'll let you
time.
explain it to me.
Okay, so if you fail the bomb bet minigame, then you have to do an extra Duple Ghost fight, and that wastes a ton of time. And you also you'd have to use up and away for that too, or actually no, you use airlift. Use up and away, and up and away can fail on that, and you have to airlift. So it's basically run over if you fail that most of the time.
Oh, I should have done Cooper Kiss. God damn it! I forgot about it.
Juicy has a chance to do it.
Nah,
know
he's
how to do
behind.
that.
I'll do Statue Glitch.
Yeah. That is the exact same Clippy Boots as I got yesterday. Literally the same thing. I got Clippy first try, failed the clip because I rotated my stick too far up, and then took me 3 more tries to get Clippy, and then I got a clip.
Could have been a lot worse, though.
Yeah. Just to show you how bad that was in my PB, I only lost 16 seconds to my PB there, and that wasted about a minute. What I did.
Yeah, this looks kind of confusing where I like rotate with myself there, with my reflection. Oh, I messed up my strat there. Badly.
But anyway, what Oxus is talking about is Cooper Kiss. I mean, it's closely related to a trick that Giga is going to do very shortly called
Oh, I remember how to
Skip.
do Cooper Kiss now. You
Which
do
will-
Cooper Skip and then switch to Cooper. I remember.
That's pretty much it.
So
But
I couldn't
it's
do
a
it.
trick to use to skip 2 of the dupe. Well, not 2. There's just this one duplicate thing. That first one, you can't really. Get
Yeah, that puzzle is just
same time, whereas this
ridiculously hard to figure out. I have no idea who the real Cooper is, so I just, skip it.
You guys gonna do the swag statue push?
Yeah, I'll do the Swag Statue Push since I forgot to do Cooper Skip. And I'm ahead by a decent amount.
Anyway, that's a bit more precise than how it looks. You actually have, I think it's like 2 pixels where you can 2 horizontal pixels that you can stand on and successfully pull that trick off.
Got a little close there.
Okay.
The bad I really use on the final Bowser fights.
So I just went through myself there. Because, again, mirrors are not working properly right now.
Will be worth any more gold.
Very nice peach work from Juicy.
Yeah,
He
Juicy
just
nailed peach
got
work.
both parts of the trick first try.
Might be a best split
So,
actually.
yeah, this
I think that
is-
was like that was a really really fast second clip. I didn't like line up at all. I just went.
We always say that it's impossible to have a good Peach Warp and Clippy Boots in the same run. And you can see that
It's
I got a
true.
good Clippy Boots and a bad Peach Warp, and Juicy had the opposite, so...
For the record, my PB had both a good Cookie Boots and a peach warp, but
I've had only, I think,
they're
like
all
one
things,
PB
so-
with both good.
Yeah, I've had like one. They were both
Of course. Of course, I had horrible. I lost 2 minutes to LZS in the PV, so it didn't matter. But
Yeah, I probably had more clean segments than other people, but the runs where it mattered the most, my last 2 PVs both struggled, so.
alright. So really cool.
Yeah, so coming up, I'm going to demonstrate it. Punished work, yeah. This has no use, but it looks ridiculous. First, I need to turn this guy on. And then, I just gotta do this. I can do from here, I think. Oh, wait, no, I gotta push it one more. Oops. Forgot. Totally intended right here. Nice. Good. This game has no flaws in its programming. What are you talking about?
0.
0.
This is a firmly programmed game.
Solid.
No.
Yeah. That and Koopa Kiss are basically like the easy sort of like useless glitches that we generally tend to show off in races or marathons. So you're not doing Koopa Kiss, Juicy, are you?
Nah, dude, I gotta go fast.
No. Disappointing poor Oxus here.
Man, I gotta try to make the race close despite the fact that I lost 10 minutes. Trying.
So yeah, I see someone commenting on that we have 15 HP now, and yeah, at this point in the game, it's just more convenient to have 15 HP. Because the bosses are doing a lot more damage. So it's easy to get into Parakarry.
Yeah. Just works out that
you-
doing 14 damage is pretty convenient.
Yeah, he needs to block. He needs to block 2 out of 4 attacks here. Like one thing I kind of consider something. Maybe not. I couldn't really call it Holy Grail because it's not a huge deal. But one boss we've had really trouble and still haven't really been able to figure out is how to fight him in peril from the very beginning. We just haven't found a good way to do it.
I don't think we will. There really isn't anything that we can do. Oops. There might be something if Peach Warp didn't heal us, but doing Peach Warp heals us, so
Yeah.
there isn't much of an option.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Giga got a 5 cap on that fight, so that's more or
Thankfully,
less
he
the
didn't
fastest boss to
lose like
fight.
4 seconds.
4 seconds. That would have ended my run.
Thankfully, he didn't
Thankfully.
get 3. Okay, thankfully, he didn't get 3 caps. So that's the real.
Yeah,
okay,
that is
so
okay.
got
That is the
caps
real.
twice, and-
Thankfully,
Yeah.
God no 3 kill. As I mentioned, I've gotten 3 caps twice in the same run on Crystal King when I was trying to do a no reset.
That was the hypest run of all time. My goodness.
And there's absolutely
speed
nothing you
run
can
that
do to
was.
recover the fight if you get a 3 cap. You just gotta do it again. Do the fight again. And it's incredibly rare, like less than 5%. Maybe even less than like 2% or 1%.
I'd honestly say it's around 1%. If I just, I mean, we don't really know. No one knows for sure, but
Yeah,
just
we don't
from my
know.
own, I guess, like back of the envelope estimate, it's like 1%. For a 3 cap on all these bosses.
Okay, so I didn't get Spiny Spawn, so I get to do the better up and away.
Yeah,
Nice.
so someone actually noticed that I didn't really talk about this. Is I actually had the Star Spirit already because when you do Peach Warp, it gives you the Star Spirit. So I had the up and away ability, but I never touched the cards. And in this category, the goal is to touch every card because, like I mentioned earlier, otherwise I could just do Peach Warp and just go mirror right
Yeah,
counts
straight
all
chapter
7. Just go straight chapter 8. That's what any percent does. So unfortunately, I had to watch these cutscenes again. So yeah, you might be experiencing some deja vu right now, just a little bit.
Okay, I kind of forgot. Do we use Starstorm on the Clubbos, or do we use Power Quake on the Clubbos?
Starstorm, Power Quake doesn't kill
I'm gonna
me.
use
Okay.
Starstone.
That was something I wasn't sure about. Couldn't remember how much HP
You
they
actually
had.
wouldn't kill. You actually
Yeah.
wouldn't kill them if you use power.
Yeah, I know. Like I
Remember,
said,
when in
it's just me
doubt,
not
Starstorm.
having played for a little while.
It's like 12 HP, I think.
Yeah. When in doubt, always start stun.
Yeah, we don't actually touch the Chapter 5 card twice, but we just enter the far right loading zone in that room. That
Yeah, the
triggers the
escape-
escape sequence.
Yep.
So now you can see this wonderful area that I've never been to.
We get to hear, debatably, the best music in the game for the shortest period of time.
Yeah, I really like this music. I think it's like the best like
Sugar Mountain
overworld music where you're not like in a dungeon type area. So I'm collecting items and just going on
So I love
my
the theme poem's hard.
Yeah.
Will I
So,
fail? Cooper skip
The
for
last,
me.
the last partner
Let's see.
upgrade, the last partner upgrade of the run is sushi, and we literally only do this for phase 2 of Final Bowser. There's no other reason why we do
Yep.
this.
Only reason we do it.
Yeah.
And there's not really any way around it.
It just makes the fight very, very consistent, and I don't know about like how much faster you can go. Like it doesn't waste that much time to do, and it just makes it dealing with that fight so much better.
Fine. I'm not really sure. I really should have practiced this. Jumping too high. I may just resort to the hat lineup after this, but we'll see. There we go. Slow, but
Okay,
whatever.
so I'll show off a little trick here. It's not actually faster in this situation, but I'll do it. He needs to like stay up here. There we go. So
Are you
can,
doing the
clip
right
out
click
right
to
here.
get up there faster?
Yeah. It's like a second faster
Yeah,
if you have like a lister out already. It just looks cool.
Yeah, we wouldn't have Lucky out already though at this point ever, so.
Yeah, you'd have to get that like first try to actually save time. Basically.
Yeah, and it's not particularly like easy. It's a slightly inconsistent, but it's easy enough, so you can do it like that. Yeah, like last year's on a rough time.
It's just old school. That's really it.
Yeah. And that is another example of like a lucky teleport where he can be used to like clip into corners, like when you wood yourself into corners, but in that situation I'm like getting on him from farther away and just like teleports you in a seemingly random direction.
Yeah.
Which happens to be through the wall. Yeah, we get to take a ride in the
Giga is
flying
preparing.
bathtub.
Magic bathtub. So chapter 8 is probably the hardest chapter in the run.
It's also one of my
It has
favorites.
several
though.
different tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. But
The
it
best
is
aside from Junior Tuba.
Yeah. It's fun right up until the
Final
end
Bowser,
game of
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by far the most it is like one of my like favorite endings to run because it is a very intense chapter. It's hard, and then the RNG at the end is intense. In actual times here, it's not really as intense because it doesn't really matter what RNG I get. But
Yeah.
yeah. Now it's slower.
These Koopa trolls, by the way, are the one place in the run where it's somewhat convenient to use a power block if you happen to get one.
I have two. Get hype.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, we're not really sure.
I'll double power block real quick.
Oh. I unfortunately ate one of my spins, which is always a fun time, so I got hit by a Koopa troll.
Not a big deal.
Yeah. But they say spin and it might jump out of a spin. So. Yeah, it's just a 12-second time loss.
Encounters, like, your HP doesn't matter too much here, but he will have to hit a heart block, which wastes a few more seconds.
Yeah. I have to remember to get this live stream too.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't want to go to the right when I jumped there. Whatever. Just waste a little bit of time.
The live stream he's getting here is purely a backup. They wouldn't get it in normal runs, but there is a rare case on Final Bowser where, depending on the power bounce caps you get, you can die.
Yeah.
Getting that live stream stops that from ending your run.
If I get bad RNG
But-
on Bowser, I will lose time, but I won't die right now, so...
Yeah.
I'm assuming I do everything correctly. I can fail stuff.
Once your time is low enough, like, getting those caps will waste enough time anyway, where it's probably going to be hard
Yeah.
to PB, so it's just not worth it.
And coming up right now is a very, very easy and simple trick that doesn't look like much, but it saves a huge amount of time. And
Yeah,
this is
it
block
completely
clip
skips
for
the entire basement of the castle.
Yep, basement skip. All you have to do
One
is
of the
just
most-
do a spin jump through this block, and then switch to Parakarry. Parakarry across here.
Yep.
Okay, I hit an
That,
invisible
I'm
wall
pretty
somehow.
sure.
Cool. I've
I'm
never
pretty sure
seen
that is
that.
the only block in the game where that works, because it's the only block that is angled so that the point is facing towards Mario.
There actually are a couple
The
of
rest of
blocks you
them-
can do that on. That's one of them.
I don't
I know
actually
you can
That
do.
was the
There's
only
like
one that I knew.
there is a Volstrum item box like on the same area of Boo's Mansion that you can do it on, but it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, that was the only one I knew
That's
of.
nice.
But yeah, you can only do it on boxes that are left like the point facing toward Mario, I'm pretty sure.
It's very convenient because the basement, not only is it long, it's just one of the most annoying, probably, components of the entire castle. You don't have to do that. You only have to do it in a glitchless run, of course. So it ends up being one of the hardest parts. Well, relatively speaking, of the glitchless run, because you have to do blind basement.
So coming up now is like
Yeah,
is
it
the
saves a lot of
last
time.
series of glitches, and it's also one of the coolest. So you have a fast flood room / flood room skip coming up, and then Canonless to round off all the tricks.
Yeah.
So you get to see the lackluster being of use here, and also Mario is he doesn't want to tell anyone, but he's kind of Jesus because he can walk on water. See, he can walk on water.
Yeah.
It's a secret that I'm telling
Yeah,
you.
more corner clips with Wacky. And the water doesn't actually... They don't expect you to be on top of the water, so...
Yeah. It's kind of just like you.
You
stand
can walk
on it.
on.
walk
Yeah,
on
you
it.
can do that on any water that you can clip onto. You'll just walk on it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be wondering why I clipped in and then clipped out, and the reason I did that is because it lets me like fall through the floor here. I don't really know why it does that, but it does. So yeah.
There's just no collision where that spring would have fallen down from the wall for whatever reason. It's not programmed there when you're on Lackluster.
Yeah,
When you clip
like the game
that.
like
Not sure why.
confuses. I know it confuses like you being on the water with being on the floor, like the floor there. So
What he did there with Cooper was another small trick where
called Cooper Super Jump. It's
if you have
one of my
Cooper
favorite
out and
ones.
you fall out of bounds, Cooper will store the properties of falling out of bounds, which is being propelled upwards.
Yeah.
So after you
You
use
store them. You
Cooper,
store your momentum,
they'll
basically.
shoot up. Yeah.
It can be used. Cooper Super Jump was something we've known about for a while, but up until that trick was discovered, it was essentially just a useless but funny thing you could do.
And right there, I just did the final trick of the run, which is aptly named Canonless, off of no, I can't think of any trick in speedrunning that's also called Canonless. Can you guys? I just can't.
I think there's one in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's probably counts in Ocarina of
I don't know,
Time.
I thought it was original.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so there's one name. So yeah, I clip again using corners with Lackluster. I get out of bounds, and I land on the seam next to the cannons, and can completely avoid all those encounters. And that's it for the glitches in the run.
Yeah.
But we're still a lot
You
left
did
to
it.
do.
Yeah,
That's
the
just
whole reason.
RNG. Yay.
The whole reason he did Canonless in the first place was if you didn't, then you'd have to actually you'd have to start a fight with the actual gold cannons and then run away from them, which is really bad because your run meter starts at the very bottom. And therefore, if you fail to run away from them twice, you'll just get killed. The other would be to first strike one of the bullet bills coming out of the cannons, which is a little bit easier, but you're still at risk unless you got the dizzy. I forgot what the badge is called, but you do it in glitchless.
Dizzy spin.
Yeah, we
The
were
dizzy
thinking.
spin.
Yeah, we were clearly thinking of Cannon Door in Ocarina of Time, not Canonless. So yeah.
Yeah. Pretty close.
I don't ask me why I went into the room left of here. I don't know, it's brain fart. Anyway, now we have this dumb quiz that like completely destroys the momentum of Chapter 8, but whatever, we have to do it.
So, Game Rob, you want to give me $5 if I get sub 1830 Junior Trooping?
Do I want to give you $5?
Do you want to? Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Dang.
Sure.
Nice. Alright. This is it.
In addition to that, throwing money around, I'll put a whole $10 bounty on if you can find a skip for this quiz. There you go. Good luck.
Dang.
Can I have a whole $10?
I'll give you $10 if you beat my best chapter one time. Using the all cards route.
Using the old one, the original one, or
Yeah, OG.
but I want to go slower.
Hey man. I mean, no one's beating it with the new one either, so.
Yeah, it's true. Well, can I like? I guess I'd have to like take a couple seconds penalty, or whatever. Could we just do that instead? So I got that.
Don't die, Juice.
I'm alright. I've made it. Drink went down the wrong pipe.
I guess your stream's frozen again.
Is it? Nice!
Yeah, it is.
It might just be Amarak, actually. I might just have to restart Amarak. I'll have to check. One moment. I don't really have much downtime at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh nice, I did the frickin' spin buffer. Yeah, Amarak is frozen. Reminder, everybody should use Amarak because it's a great program. There we go. It's all set now.
Alright, so this hammer bro, he can. Usually the best strat is to just go below him,
That
but
was interesting.
I almost just fired Cooper to the left. I was pretty sure I was gonna do that. Anyway. So yeah, that you have to watch out because sometimes he just spawns at the very bottom, but it's usually not the case. Like that was a little
It would've
iffy,
been pretty
but it was
exciting
good.
if you tried to pick a fight with that magic Koopa.
Yeah.
Just dunked him quick.
Hey, you.
Hey you! Stop looking at me
Hit him, in
funny.
the,
Threw a
hit him
Cooper
in the
his
face with your turtle friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this puzzle
After
was the
this
same.
point,
And it also the flames also tell you the puzzle in case you forget too.
Generally
Yeah.
speaking, after that set of encounters, we usually Chapter 8, or at least what we refer as the Junior Troopa segments, we split usually after we beat the last Junior Troopa fight. So you generally really execution-based part of the segment's pretty much done because this set of rooms is really straightforward. There's one more set of enemies we have to avoid, but it's basically 100% consistent.
It's official.
Very easy.
This is the God Junior Troopa 7 because I got the task lackey thing.
Oh man,
man.
I got that too actually.
Dang, dude. Now I don't feel good.
My $5 is as good as gone.
It's gone, dude. Even though I already was slow as heck.
So right when the Duplo Ghost,
Yeah, I got the light stream.
fights start is when we say, okay, now it's time to be
RNG.
to be
I love
just destroyed by
RNG.
RNG.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we said, this is probably aside from power bounce caps, this is like the biggest piece of RNG since Speedy Sprint.
Alright, I worked on the Duplo Ghost.
I believe it's a 95% chance on each Duplo Ghost. That
Yeah.
it'll work.
It's annoying.
If one fails, it really sucks.
My favorite is when two
Which is
or more
kind of
fail.
funny.
It can happen.
Oh, that's
it's
the
almost
best.
rare.
I've never had 2 or more, but
I've
I
only
find
had
it
2
funny
once,
that-
I think.
I've had it happen before. It's super duper
Having-
funny.
I will say I've had it fail here far more often than in Chapter 7, which is a bit surprising.
mean, it's the same
I mean,
thing.
there's 4 of them, but
Well, I mean, you use on 4 of them in Chapter 7 sometimes.
well, yeah, sometimes.
Half the time.
But yeah, it's kind of, for me, it's a bit surprising. So, how often it fails. But then again, it's like only a small fraction of your runs get this far anyway, so you can't really make good sample sizes, I guess.
So Junior Troopa, I believe, is probably the biggest source of RNG from a single cap. The difference between a 4 and a 5 is about 20 seconds.
Yeah, you can't
23,
actually
I
jump.
believe?
Yeah, it's 20. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I timed it to be
23. You
23.
can't actually.
Okay.
Problem is, you can't jump on him once you after your first set of power bounces. You get capped. You can't jump on him again because it puts a spike on his head. So you have to use Starstorm, which is incredibly slow.
You got the 5 there. So.
Yeah, I had to
That's
get fine. I actually completely matched my segment from PD there. That was very not good.
No.
But oh well. So slow.
So now he's approaching the final Bowser fights, which is more RNG.
Yeah. Yeah, we just love
Hallway
RNG,
Bowser.
so
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hallway Bowser, you are able to kill him in 2 to 4 turns, which is a swing of about 30 seconds. The average is 3 turns, and then you either save or lose about 15-ish from 2 or 4 turns.
And that all depends on your power bounce caps. And Bowser, even the hallway Bowser, which, well, we refer to the first Bowser fight as the hallway Bowser fight. So even with hallway Bowser, you are more likely to get 3 caps on him by a fairly large margin than any other boss in the game. So in order to actually get the 2-turn fight, we need double 5 caps or a 7 and a 4.
Yeah.
7 and a 4 is incredibly rare, but
Yeah.
double 5, it happens. It's not. I wouldn't call it common, but it's not.
Well, I got 5 on my first
uncommon.
one.
It happens.
Yeah. It's not. It's
And-
definitely not as
Yeah,
rare as
yeah.
Beamless, but it's like not particularly common.
It's
For
less
3
than
turn, you
50%.
need either a 3 and a 5 or 2 4s, at least.
Yeah.
You get a 3 and a 4. Make it 4 turn.
that was interesting.
4
So I got
turns
5 and a 4.
probably my
So
experience. the least-
obviously, you see,
the
if I got
least
one more bounce, he
common.
would die, and he wouldn't get to use that. So now I could, but I do get to do one of my favorite things and kill him through the Star Shield. So that's always fun. Most people
Yump.
most people commonly think that he's invincible doing that, but he just increases his defense by a lot. So because of Mega Rush,
It's either 3 or 4, I can't remember what.
I think it's plus
It's
4
kind of
defense.
it's plus 4, and
think
it's
it's
kind
4,
of
yeah.
weird also because if you were to do something like use Watt's attack, for example,
Yeah, Watt doesn't pierce that
attack would be
defense,
blocked,
and it
so-
actually gives him defense
But
against
you're gonna lose.
Starstorm as well, which most things don't.
Alright, Team Up, I gotta tell you right now, you're keeping your $5.
Dang.
Fortunate.
Yes!
Nice.
This is
Sorry,
not the
man.
God segment.
Can't win all the time.
Dang,
So
dude.
anyway, the final Bowser fight coming up. There's, of course, even more RNG, both in terms of with what caps you get, and also whether we've already mentioned it earlier. There's a thing called Beamless, where basically during the fight, Bowser is going to use Star Shield, which is the thing that makes him invincible, either in turns 3, 4, 5 of the second phase, and if he uses it. If he doesn't use it in turns 3 or 4, you can actually kill him before he even uses Star Shield, and that saves about 30 seconds, and it's quite rare.
Very rare, which makes it very frustrating because whether you get it or not, it's always there as something that could happen. And if you get it in your PV, it's very annoying to run against.
Yes, and Game Rob and I both have it in our PBs, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I know.
SLD,
I'll,
don't forget SLD as well.
SLD,
In the
I
top
don't
5,
even know.
SLD has it too. I do not, and Juicy does not. So there you go.
Oh man, we got first 3 cap in there. Keep them coming.
Oh baby.
Oh yeah, so Game Rob mentioned this earlier. So we have 3 turns where we use power bounces on this fight, and if you get 3 caps on all of them, then you will actually die, and if you didn't have any life stream, then that would have been
Oh
the end
man,
of your
double
run.
3.
Yeah,
And
it's not a big deal here, but
yeah.
And Final Bowser is by far the most common. Its 3 caps are probably the most common caps on Final Bowser, and it's the only boss in the game that's like that at all.
yeah.
So
There's about a 50% chance to get 3 capped, and then 50 for everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in any case, it's also important. So I mentioned this earlier as well. This is so Holly Bowser and Final Bowser are the only 2 bosses in the game where we do not use Super Jump Charge after we get it, and the reason is he has this attack that we refer to as the wave, where it's that if you've played the game before, or if you've watched an 80% run, it's that attack he uses where he puts the star out in the air and he does a small amount of damage to you and your partner and knocks your partner out. That attack also removes any boosts that you have on Mario. So, in essence, if you try to charge up at all, the game's AI will just make Bowser want to use the wave on you, and you'll lose all your charges, so you can't really exploit that. You do use it in any percent,
And any
though.
percent. You
but
have
that's
to.
because you have tons.
And you also have to basically.
There's no way to beat Final Bowser with any efficiency unless you do that.
You have to use some sort of charge, really, like to do it fast.
And it sucks.
Yeah. It sucks. Yeah, you have to basically. Well, you're not like. It's pretty common what turn because he's charging. He's very inclined to use the wave on you. So you kind of have to like predict when he's gonna do it. He can, however, just sometimes randomly delay it enough so that it isn't actually impossible for you to get through his wave pattern, which is unfortunate. And also, in 90%, you only do 1 bounce, and it has to be at least a 4 to win, to even consider winning. And even then, sometimes you might not have the materials to win with 4, so you usually want a 5. So
5s are quite
Yeah.
common.
So basically, after all that guesswork with the wave, it comes down to a
Yeah.
50-50.
and you can see I already got 3 cap twice on Final Bowser, so
Oh
it's
man.
kind of rough.
Up and away. I believe in you, buddy. You and me all the way.
So other than RNG, on the second phase of Final Bowser, you have to hit 2 blocks. And
Yeah.
that's really the important thing in the fight.
And as we've mentioned earlier, like people very often, myself included, when I started running the game, just neglect to practice blocking Final Bowser, and you'll either lose runs straight up, or when your time is less than optimized, you might still PB if you've got lots of time to save, of course. But it's just like you're gonna lose 7 or 8 minutes no matter what you do if you
I need to
miss
think of the
block.
Jimmy
this-
Tripper strat again.
This particular cutscene is
Jump
so
turn.
awful on Wii VC. If you use the N64 version, like you can clearly see that this cutscene lags to hell.
Okay.
And
Yeah, Giga has a highlight video of it.
Yeah,
See.
it's so bad that it
That's
actually,
how
this cutscene loses 30 seconds in comparison to N64. It's that bad. Or to Wii U VC.
Yeah, is it the biggest difference in any?
It is definitely the biggest
80%
difference.
for
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Biggest.
Okay.
5.
So anyway, we are basically getting to the second phase of
got
the fight,
5.
and the strategy is relatively simple. We want to block both attacks because our goal is to ultimately get into peril. If you miss a single block, then it won't work out such you get into peril. And the issue is, if the game's AI is programmed such that if Mario's HP is at 5 or lower, so in other words, he's in danger or in peril, Bowser will never heal for the first 10 turns or so. And that's very important, because if Bowser heals just once, basically the fight's over. Because he heals like 30 HP per pop when he heals.
Yeah, the way we set things up, his attacks will always do 7 damage to us, so it's consistent.
Yeah, that's why we picked up Fire Shield and also upgraded Sushi.
And here you'll see those items come to use. The main
Oh,
source of
damn, I
damage.
got
Yeah,
19. Is that good enough?
No.
Rip.
In any case, since Giga is not in peril as well, he needs to deal as much damage as he can. That's why he picked up Triple Dip and all the Shooting Stars and Thunder Rages. It was all for just these 2 turns. And
I
by
blocked
the
both
way,
the
he also
attacks.
he has to be careful with his menu. Yeah, he has to be careful with the menuing too.
With that
As
life
I said,
stream.
if you heal by accident, a certain someone has lost the run to using the life stream by accident. Yeah. Indeed.
So now the
All
fight's
the
pretty
more
much
reason why you
guaranteed for
don't
me.
want to have to pick it up.
But will we get beamless?
Alright, I got it before.
It is guaranteed because you have the life shroom. Although in the cases where you don't have the life shroom, there's a very small chance where you can use You can use turn 3 beam or turn 3 star shield, and then you'd have to use this. Then you'd have to use peach beam, and then you'll be left vulnerable to wave after that. And if your power bounce caps are bad, then you actually still lose, even though
So
you
if
got both
he
blocks
didn't
correctly.
if he didn't use the Star Shield this turn, he doesn't have to, although it's extremely common for him to do it here. I could just kill him on this turn instead of having to use Peach Beam at all. So that's why we call it beamless, as we said.
Yeah.
but now I have
we'll
to-
never have to use the peach beam again.
Now I have to use bow and whatnot. So it saves using
And
the
there's
animation
another-
of Peach Beam on a turn. So it's very nice if you get it. But
It's very long.
I guess Juicy's internet is down again.
If you get 2 5 caps and a 4,
alright,
you
it's
also
over.
do something that's called the quick kill, which is even better because you don't have to worry about him using the star shield at all in the first place. But that's extremely rare. I've only had it happen once, maybe. Alright.
So this is going to be a 303, I think. At least with my time. My time, yeah.
Which is
303.
really, really good for a race or marathon run, honestly.
Timing is not end yet. It ends after some stuff because there is technically more gameplay after the final boss. It is like a lot of cutscenes, but there is some movement left. So we're gonna wait until that's done. So we go into last input here. Since last input is
It's
like
gonna be like a
really-
mid-high 303.
This is like the final meaningful input, I guess, before like it's just text is like not that far away from just getting rid of all the text, so we'll just end time when all the text is done. Since you do have to do an input for that type of thing.
So at this point, that's basically the last meaningful thing in the run, but there is still one
Yeah,
more
there
trick.
is technically one trick. I did say that the tricks are over, but technically there is one more, but it's really weird. So maybe we'll take this opportunity now. Well, I can ask the chat. Do you guys think Luigi deserves to come to a nice party at the castle? Or does he not deserve it? Tell me your thoughts, party. Does he come or not? Tell me your thoughts. Let's see.
Welcome back, Casey.
I apologize for my internet. In hindsight, we probably should have used Gigas for audio.
Well, you don't have to worry. The audio was switched to Giga Stream some time ago.
It was? Oh, good. Goody goody. Yeah. Also, to give you a quick update, I didn't get 2-turn, and I got 2 4s on phase 1.
Alright, nice. Alright, so... It seems like...
I just need the quick 7 on phase 2 for quick kill.
It seems like a decent... I don't know, it's kind of... I'd say like... Maybe like 2/3 people? It's kind of split. It's kind of hard to say. Now we got the Luigi lovers coming out now. Yeah. I think, you know, I worked really hard as Mario throughout this game. Even Peach did some work too, but what did Luigi do? He sat at home doing nothing. You think he deserves to come to a party? I don't think so. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I'm skipping his bitch ass.
I am going to cast my vote in the chat to ban him. There you go. It's the campaign.
He's alright. He's alright.
He's
I'm not gonna bring lazy Luigi along. He's a big nub. Well, good job, Giga. You did it.
I did it. Woo.
You beat the video game.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can do the same in less than 8 minutes from now. Well, actually it will be... Hopefully I can beat Final Bowser in less than 8 minutes from now is what I mean. And it's impossible for me to actually beat the game in less than 8 minutes from now.
I believe.
Honestly, if I didn't do that stupid thing on Lantern Ghosts,
It would
I'd
have
only
been
be like 2.5 minutes behind my PB right now, which is really
yeah,
good.
it would have been really close. Like for the most
Well, yeah,
part.
Giga
It was a very good
Giga
race
got a 303, which is...
Yeah, this is gonna be a 303. I did some
I would have
extra
gotten a
stuff
303
too.
as well.
So
That's
yeah.
about as good as you could expect, honestly.
Or actually, I would have gotten like a 301 or 2. 302 most likely.
Yeah. If I didn't do statue glitch,
Well, see, your run was
then
pretty
I
good.
probably would have gotten like closer to a 302. I don't know. It would have been a much closer race. Oh, Dying Lantern goes probably wasted like 9.5 minutes. I want to say. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it wasted 9.5 minutes. I was 22 seconds behind after Chapter 5 and plus 9:52 after Enter Ruins, so 9.5 minutes.
Alright, so yeah. Yeah, I think most of you guys and you guys agree with me that Luigi just doesn't deserve to come to this party.
He's a big nub, you know?
Yeah.
Big nub.
Maybe if he actually did something, but too bad.
Did you get Beamless, Giga?
No.
No, he didn't.
I had a 3-turn hallway Bowser. I like pretty standard, like 5 cap junior, 3-turn hallway, no beamless. Like that's pretty. I'd say that's pretty standard. All right, so Luigi tries to jump in, but I just escape from him because he just deserves to come.
You just say later, dog.
Yeah. You're not coming with me.
Literally all he did was hold down.
All if you do for that is just hold down.
And then block him.
I remember I have a power block, so I don't do the base.
The base.
The base, dude.
I mentioned this earlier about choking. People
There's
say
all this live stream
base.
hanging out, messing with my menus. Not a fan.
All right, time. And I got it. According to my split,
did it.
303 sub the team.
Congratulations.
Juicy got both blocks, so... should be
Yeah.
clear there.
I'm gonna win the fight. Hopefully. Yes! Alright, I'm gonna go for a 7 bounce, because if I get a 7 bounce, I'll get a quick kill.
Oh, baby.
worth it.
That is something we didn't talk about in terms of random
I
factors
mentioned,
on
I
Final
mentioned
Bowser.
it. I mentioned it briefly, but yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Will
I
the
mentioned
7.
quick kill. Yeah.
Quick 7 bounce.
Congrats on the run.
It was
Sorry
definitely a
about
5.
what
It's okay. It was my fault, I can't complain. No beamless.
Damn.
Oh well.
I was so close, dude. I was 1 bounce away from a quick kill. I got 2
If you
fours on
saved
the
and then died, then it would have been a much better race. Because I was behind you by like, I want to say
Yeah.
like 30, 40 seconds for most of the beginning, so I wasn't like that far.
I
That's,
just
like,
wasn't
not bad.
thinking about it, didn't save. Swin.
Yeah, the race is
happens.
very
Alright.
close overall.
Yeah. That's why Paper Mario is for races is kind of iffy, but
Almost there.
I think
Volatile.
it went okay considering something pretty bad happened. Like you got to see-
Considering that death, I'm really happy with how I
Yeah.
played.
I'm
Aside
decently happy with
from
how I
that.
played. I was pretty sloppy in some places, but the tricks went pretty well for the most part. So
Those Yasin Clippy boots were all really good.
Yeah, we
And
had.
VHS.
Well, I didn't have good clippy boots. But
yeah, I
had
had
LZS.
You got to see
Which is
just
what I
like-
was actually worried about.
Yeah, you had good LZS hologram.
You
You
had
had
a
to
bad
see-
BTS.
Yeah, I had a bad BTS. You got to see someone perform like every trick well at least. So that's pretty
Yeah.
good. Except for
One of
Yoshi
us did
Scoop.
everything well.
Except for Yoshi Scoop, we both failed Yoshi.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Well, I failed the raft skip part because
I failed
jumped in the loading zone.
I kind of failed.
I
don't know
got
what
over the
part I
tree
failed.
just fine.
I got over the tree, but then like when I went to try to jump around it, I just jumped back and bounced. So.
Oh, nice.
See, LZS and Clippy boots easy, but Raphael skip so hard.
It's tough, man. Alright. So yeah,
I think
guess I'll let Luigi
You
come to the
just,
party.
Finish the bouncer there.
Should I let Luigi come to the party? Is that a thing I should do?
And it looks like
I
If
don't
you
know.
want to.
I don't know, man.
Juicy.
The people want Luigi to come to the party. I don't actually have the chat open because I don't want my computer to die. Or I don't want my internet to die even more than it already has.
Is this gonna be sub 310? I didn't see the timer was not
No.
100 giga. So
No, it's
I'm
not.
guessing it's pretty close. So
It's gonna be like a
311.
310.
310.
14.
Okay. Dang,
Yeah,
over.
no.
That's really good.
No, wait.
considering the day.
No, 311, 14.
Yeah.
I can't do math.
Yeah. Considering
Which,
our.
by the way, coming up next, we have the Super Mario RPG race between Albrecht, Milnium, and Oxwas.
Let Luigi come. Alright, I'll let Luigi come. Yeah, that's gonna be a really solid race.
Yeah, there's.
They all
RPG's
have
cool.
very, very close times. I think Oxwas has record, Mill is second, and I think Albrecht is third actually. I'm not really sure though.
Yeah, SMRPG, while not heavily glitched, this has some really, like, just like the way they speedrun it, like the movement and whatnot is really cool. So, highly recommend it. And you get to see people do 100 super jumps, which if you've ever tried to do casually, you know that's really hard, so. Alright, so.
So after we sit through these cutscenes for a little bit, you'll see what it's like to have Luigi come to the party.
It's pretty exciting.
It's really exciting, man. Like, he goes down the pipe, and then he comes out of the pipe, too. It's pretty crazy.
talks to you, man. He says something really important.
Then he's like, let's
and
go,
then he rushes
bro,
on.
or something like that, and then you go. It's good.
You have to watch him walk really slowly. Okay.
It looked like Juicy's internet might have died again.
Did it? Epic. We made it. I didn't notice. I wasn't saying anything.
You just froze a bit just now.
Yeah, I think it's okay now. Like right when I was tuning into the
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
The
You're
original
fine.
stream?
You're fine now.
yeah,
Juice.
it's okay now.
I was looking at the Blooper stream.
I see the loading. There we go. It's all good now.
So I think that was actually my best marathon time. I don't know about race time. Definitely best marathon time.
I think it's the best.
I don't think I've
best
finished an all cards race before, so best race time.
Whoa.
We did it.
That's definitely the best marathon time anyone's ever done of all cards. Period. I think you're during the showcase race. You got like a 308.
I think I got a 308 or 309. I got a 309. Like on
Yeah,
the one before that I did too. So.
Yeah, I got a 308 during a no reset run I did in preparation. And then that marathon run I had like a brief. I did something similar to Juicy. I died a bunch of times. Well, not once. I died a bunch of times.
Once,
in
alright.
Oh yeah, I remember
you
that.
died once.
I remember
died,
that.
Yeah, I died. I jumped
Didn't
on
you
the shy
die?
stack twice.
Yeah, you died to John.
It happened
Which
twice.
still wasted less time than what I did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's. I know. It was like 7 or 8 minutes, not 10.
Yeah. For reference on how like races can go badly, as you saw right now, we actually didn't even finish a practice race. We got close to finishing, but we didn't. We just
Yeah, it was pretty close.
we kind of didn't.
I could have finished.
We
but
could
I
have
was
finished,
like-
but we decided against it. So
I would have gotten like a. I would have gotten like a 300 probably with that run if I had finished it, but lazy.
we were like, you know,
Alright,
we
here
basically
go.
already.
We get to watch Luigi come down the pipe
Oh man.
and come back out of the
Let's
pipe.
go.
Intense.
Oh man.
Here he is, coming out, dropping some quick beats on Mario.
Still doesn't deserve to come, but you know, he's there.
Alright. Luigi just spat some bars. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a 24 now, not a 14, because I didn't do Luigi skip.
Rip.
Thing.
Rip on
It's
him.
over.
Alright, well, thanks for the
Alright.
runs, guys.
There we go! I beat the game!
Next we have Super Mario RPG. I'll go ahead and cut the